That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
Articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great. I loved it.
This sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Yes, we are here.
Hello.
Xmas duty, Christmas duty. I guess people don't like when you put X, because isn't that X really there so you don't have to say Christ in the Christmas part?
I don't know how it got originated as Xmas, but
I thought when I was young, I just thought it because people were lazy, But now the more I think about it, it's probably to get rid of the Christ part. But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whichever one you're celebrating. How is your? By the way, that looks a lot like the waterfall architecture by what's his name? Frank Lloyd Wright. But it's not, obviously, because waterfall building doesn't have that little thing to your right shoulder. I don't know what that is. The other part. It doesn't have the other part. Yeah. Like, what's that? That wouldn't be in waterfall at all.
Yeah, I wanted to do, fly up to the North Pole, get a selfie with Santa Claus so I can show my kids.
Okay.
And clearly they booked me to the wrong pole. Fuck.
Okay. So this is like the Antarctic.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, they clearly did.
Well,
you should be wearing more clothes.
The actual alien complex is right over there, so much more grander than this shit.
They okay.
This is a little bit better than what Qatar offered the people who went to the World Cup to watch. It's not Tin City here.
I'm sure. Sure it is. That was pretty crappy what they gave there. So yeah, you're in Antarctica. That's fantastic. You should probably be wearing more clothes.
Derek, I don't need more clothes.
You're a man.
Men don't wear. Norse flooded me. I'm used. This is swimsuit weather, Derek.
Men don't wear clothes.
That was George in the Jungle and Tarzan. They wore practically nothing. In
warm climates, certainly there are tribes that don't wear many clothes at all, and so I would imagine during the summers, back in our caveman days, we didn't wear many clothes. Honestly,
a loincloth made out of a saber-toothed tiger.
What? That's too pointy to be happening down there near your privates.
You're not putting his fangs next to your junk.
Oh, okay.
You're wearing that around your neck because that's baller. Make a hat out of it.
I thought you meant like the saber-toothed tiger teeth.
Yeah, it's just a loincloth made out of saber teeth. Yeah,
it's just a little string around your waist with just a dangling little saber-toothed tiger tooth covering your wiener area.
So real quick, today's show is going to be interesting because I don't suspect we're going to have the numbers that we normally have. One, because it's Christmas,
right?
But two, we were also questionable whether or not we were going to have a show on. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, I just got notifications. Straight's on. Damn it."
Yeah, maybe they will, or maybe like I have not been getting a whole lot of notifications about our show, so I've been having to type in the Straight Red Card to find the show so I can post a link to X, right? So that's not been good.
You're sending our links to your X?
No, X as in Twitter. Right. No, I would not be sending my links to my X. No, I would not. The turd in the background. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Straight Red Card. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we figured out who the turd in the background is now.
I know. I took a nap today and haven't really woken up from it. I don't know if you've ever had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. The turd in the background says, Merry Christmas and welcome to the Straight Red Card. Here I thought there'd be no stream. I thought wrong. My wife got a big dildo for Christmas. Of course she did. I got some KY. Great Christmas. Well, I don't know. I mean, you got
it aids in your ability to sit down afterwards, turd.
I guess. Big deal. Yeah. If they're doing some pegging action.
Yeah.
If you need advice on that, contact Brett and EB. All right.
Advice, yep. Jonathan Miller says a straight red card on Christmas Day.
It is. It
Mar
is.
says, what a Christmas present.
Oh, that's very nice of everybody.
Alvin says, Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry
got
Christmas.
Some Merry Christmas poo toes.
Poo toes. I think he's talking to somebody that's in the chat. Isn't there somebody in the chat named Poo Toes?
Maybe.
I think so.
Merry
And by the way,
animals.
you know why people do the Poo Toes thing, right?
What?
Yeah.
What? No.
We're trying to make us say the bad word in Spanish. Yeah. So that's why I say it the way I do. Poo Toes.
I wasn't saying that word. I was literally toes, poo.
I think there is a dude in the chat named Poo Toes. All right.
I don't think so.
Lefty Kukstoti. Lefty Kukstoti. I mean, the guy's in our chat a lot. I've never really bothered pronouncing his last name because good luck with that. Merry Xmas, you filthy animals. I think he's talking to the other people in the chat, not to us.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you, Jack. It's great to have you all here. Fumar, been here quite a lot lately. X is Greek for chi, which is Christ. Oh.
You learn something every day. Look at that.
That's interesting take on it. Fumar. I was always told it was to eliminate the Christ part out of Christmas. So maybe I'm wrong. All right.
It's Kyoto.
Oh, like Don Quixote. What am I thinking? Lefty Quixote.
Quixote.
Quixote. Quixote. Quixote.
Very phonetic with that, Derek.
Yeah, I better drink some more. Obviously, I haven't woken up from my nap yet. By the way, today I will be drinking. This is the Taxman's Bean Counter. Bean Counter. Have I had this one on the show yet?
You have not, that I recall.
It is a Belgian-style brown ale brewed with coffee and spices, and it is at only 8. Only 8.
That's all.
ABV. How disappointing.
Practically water.
Jeez, this would be like drinking, Miller Lite or something.
I got what's left of my bourbon, and then I'm branching off to vodka Sprite.
Good for you.
Same old, same old.
All right, well, we'll see how this. I'm not. Whenever I see that somebody's putting coffee in my beer, I'm kind of like, I don't know. How are you gonna deal with that? But coffee can add a very sort of almost malty, chocolatey accent to things, but it can also add bitterness. So that's why I'm concerned here. Here we go.
Not a whatever Java beer guy, coffee beer guy, whatever it's fucking called. It's not my shtick.
Well, it's not bad, but you know what? It tastes more like a porter than a Belgian ale. It tastes like a porter, like a stout, like those chocolate stouts that I've had in the years past.
While you're doing that, Jordan Morris's dog says, "Brett, how was your Xmas turkey?"
He didn't have one.
Didn't make one today, guys. Didn't make one. The family and I went out to what's it as? Koto Japanese Grill.
All right.
Hibachi.
Don't mock the Japanese with your accent, Brett.
That was a great accent. I practically speak Japanese. Domo arigato.
Mr. Roboto.
Mr. Roboto. I had some nice steak and chicken hibachi.
Nice.
The kids didn't like the ginger dressing on the salad, so I had like 3 salads.
Nice. You know what I had all by myself?
Hot
By
Pocket.
myself?
Hot Pocket.
No. That's what I used later on in the day. But no, I had spaghetti and meatballs, just classic spaghetti and meatballs. I made my famous meatballs. Brett, you would love my balls, dude. They are pretty tasty. And you know what the key to my balls are? Making my balls is ricotta cheese. You got to use a little ricotta in the beef when you're making the balls. You do. A little ricotta, of course, the regular onions, garlic, lots of shitload of oregano. And I'm trying to think what else I'm missing there. I'm missing something else. Well, I use the breadcrumbs, of course. but I use the Italian breadcrumbs and some panko, and then just a yolk of an egg, and you mix all that shit together. And when you brown them all, and you make them just barely bigger than a golf ball, or smaller than a golf ball. No bigger than that. They cook nice and evenly that way. I mean, you got these big balls and you're cooking big balls. It's kind of hard to get it all done evenly.
Slow and
right?
steady.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. But if you're doing small balls, they cook quicker. And then, yes, my sweaty balls.
You remember that skit?
I do. No one can resist my sweaty balls.
It was like the beginning of ASMR too. It's like, hey, my sweaty balls.
No one can
your sweaty balls are nice. I always, whenever you talk about stuff like that, whenever we talk about like eating one's balls, it's always chocolate salty balls from South Park.
Yeah.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth and suck them.
Sorry, when I think of South Park and balls, the guy that's got towing his big gigantic nuts around town in a wheelbarrow. Also, you got to put in some parm in there, of course. Parmigiano Reggiano. Just shave a little bit of that in there too. You create the little balls, you cook the little balls, then of course you serve them with spaghetti. You make your don't eat sauce out of a jar. Crying out loud. If you have kids, you can do that. But if you don't have kids, take some time and really just get some fresh tomatoes and grind them up. Didn't we already do thoughts on eggnog?
We did this last show. Yeah, this is a recap. This is the Christmas show. Some people might not have actually been here.
I love eggnog.
Derek loves
eggnog and nutmeg in the eggnog.
We would happily do without. Just give me any other alcohol, alcoholic beverage. I know eggnog actually requires the alcohol, but still.
You know what we do at the house back in the day?
What do you do?
We would, at my parents, especially for Christmas, we make the eggnog, right, with vanilla ice cream in it, in a blender. It's fantastic.
Okay. Well, you start mixing other things in with the eggnog. Then I'm more inclined to drink it when you add the booze into the eggnog, and then all of a sudden you start adding ice cream. I mean, what's not to like?
No, I know, and we would
use. Delicious now.
Oh, I know. And we would actually blend it with different liqueurs. Grand Marnier, we used to put in there along with whiskey. And the Grand Marnier adds a little bit of orange. So when you add the ice cream with the orange, then you got this kind of almost like a creamsicle eggnog, right? Still got the eggnog thing.
Did you do whiskey?
Yeah, we did add a little whiskey, but we actually add a couple shots of Grand Marnier in there too in the blender.
I've only ever recall eggnog with rum.
No, you can do it with rum, but my parents usually don't carry rum, so we would always use either a bourbon of some sort. They also have other fancy.
Can't go wrong with bourbon. I agree.
Bourbons like French fancy fucking shit that I don't know. I don't drink any of that shit, so I don't know what it is. But we use whatever's around the house. But the key to the tastiness is add a couple of scoops of vanilla ice cream. And then it's almost like a what do I call that? A dessert after dinner, right? Actually, which U.S. men's national team player is good at cooking? Well, obviously, not McKenny.
Not Weah.
Not Weah. The only one that I know is good at cooking so far is Musa. That's been
Fumar said that as well. Without having seen Fumar or hearing your response there, I just would have assumed it would have been one of the older players like Reem. Maybe Turner.
I bet you Reem can cook.
Age, you kind of have to learn how to cook.
Yeah, but they're both married. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
You're married. You do a lot of cooking. I did a lot of the cooking. Yeah.
I'll say this
when I was married.
The wife made hot crap in a pot, which is basically just you slow cook chicken in a crock pot with like sour cream, cream of chicken, and something else, and you put it over noodle.
Yeah,
it's good, and quite frankly, I came home and I saw it. I go,
listen,
thank you. I really appreciate that you cook this.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's fantastic. But when your wife, the only meal she can cook, and this is no offense to your wife, because my wife could only cook those kind of meals too, and she would do paprikash in the. It's always in the pot, the pot thingy.
Yeah.
What are those called?
It's a crock pot.
Crock pot. Yeah, that's all she could do was crock pot dishes.
You can't go wrong with the crock pot. It's easy.
Oh, yes, you can. It gets boring.
Oh, no. I'm saying you can't. It's hard to fail at cooking on a crock pot.
Right. You don't fail, but you don't make anything that interesting or spectacular. It's just like warm kind of peasant food. Peasant food is how I would put it. And that is what papakosh is, by the way. That's peasant food. And there's only so much I can eat of that.
I like taking a nice pork butt, throwing it in there, and or shoulder or whatever. It's the same thing, isn't it? Is pork butt and shoulder the same thing?
Probably.
Whatever. Throwing that in there, you get some real nice hot peppers, make it a nice little, and then you shred it after like long cooking time. You have nice hot, pulled pork.
You can cook ribs in crock pot. They come out great. I'm nothing against crock pots. They can be used for good and evil, but I just think that a lot of the times women these days need to learn how to cook. Why is it just men that are interested in cooking? When you go on and look at cooking shows on YouTube, 80% of them are men. There's like 20% of them are women doing cooking out there. And it's because we stigmatized, like if a woman knows how to cook, now she's like some sort of, 1950s cunt or something. No,
Could be.
It's a skill all of us should learn. Like I have one son that was really interested in learning about cooking and used to hang over my shoulder and learn everything he could from me about cooking. Then I had another one who didn't give a fuck. Guess who eats well now? The one who learned. The other one eats microwave bullshit. So that's on him. And now he's just now called me, and said, "Hey, I really should have paid attention. I fucked up."
Well, it's weird. My mom's able to cook as well, but my dad did most of the cooking. Yep. And I always saw him doing the cooking. So like when I left the house, I was just recapping what was he doing? He did this, okay, and a lot of it for me was all experimenting. It was never necessarily, oh, I'm following this exact the directions from this chef doing this or whatever. It's sort of like, well, would this chicken do good with this seasoning? Yeah, fuck it, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, sure. A lot of it can be just a matter of experimentation. Of course, you can ruin a lot of shit when you really don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Hey, when you're cooking for yourself, you're allowed to ruin it. When you're cooking for a family, you can't necessarily ruin it. I mean, you have to make sure that you don't ruin it, because then that's a lot of food you just wasted.
Right.
Especially nowadays. Good Lord.
You got to keep it safe. One thing I just realized, and I forgot to talk about this. I was walking in Meyer a couple weeks ago. I mean, it was longer than that. It was in November sometime. And they had the clear out section from after Halloween, where they have all just toss out all the Halloween shit in one big container.
We keep telling Jackson that we'll go there one day and get all that shit for next Halloween, but we never do.
It's probably smart because it's all like 50% off, all the costumes and shit. But I noticed on one of the costumes, which is either I think it was Batman, and on it, the tag said, "This superhero outfit does not give you special powers." You're like, really? They got to put that on the fucking Superman or the Batman outfits?
Surprised, Derek. You'd be surprised.
Like
the little magnetic sensors that were in DVD cases. That way you didn't just steal the DVD.
Yeah, back in the day.
So working at Blockbuster, I used to have to put that shit in the DVD cases. On the box, it says, "Do not microwave," which means some motherfucker out there microwaved it and found out.
What an ass.
What a stupid ass.
I mean, does it also say on it, "Do not stick up your anus"? I mean, really, how much?
This whole pamphlet.
Do not do these things. Do not.
What am I supposed to do with these things now?
Do not stick it up your ass, your nose, your pee hole, or any orifice.
I make a Blockbuster reference, and digital HD technology is in the house. What are the odds?
He was offended. You brought it up.
Good old memories.
Okay.
Blockbuster. That was always a weekend activity. You like always said like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Blockbuster and get a movie." Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you go there and like, oh, God, I can't get the new Avatar movie, so I've got to get something that's 3 years old because somebody else has already got all that shit. Fuck.
Or you head to the nearby porn shop and rent a video, or get a VHS.
Stranger activity to do with your family, but it's always an option.
There's a reason my marriage didn't last long. All right.
Honey, you said we're going out to get a DVD. Oh, we are.
All right. Oh, I wish that Tact would stop saying that the English have bad food. The English do have some bad food, but the English have some good food too.
Same
They
joke
really
as
do.
always. Says, hey, they got spotted dick.
Spotted dick's fantastic, for instance. It's a pudding. It's quite good. And then he's like, I'm not sure what they eat in Germany. Sausage and beer. There's so much to fucking eat. More to eat in Germany.
Hey,
Seriously.
You know what? I would be fine with that if it was just sausage and beer. I mean, I feel like that's a great diet to have.
Well, not to mention how many different types of sausage there are. There's all kinds. I mean, you know, you got Jagdwurst, beer schinken. I mean, I could go down the list all day, but I'm not going to. But there's lots of different things. They do great bread. Brötchen is fantastic in Germany. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I was just a little taken back by that. But we'll work it out between him and I.
Lefty jumps in and helps you out. The pretzel.
He said pretzels too. And by the way, he also, even though I told him last week, and I should have tagged Pete because Pete would have fixed it. But no, in his Yanks Abroad report, he still did not say Eupen. He's still saying Eupen.
Even after he asked you about it?
After I sent him a link with a YouTube video that because he said, well, how do you pronounce it then? So I sent him the YouTube video.
Can't you just Google Translate and then click on it and get an idea at least? It might not be perfect, but instead of, what did they honestly say, Eupen? Instead of Eupen, it'd be like Eupen.
It's Eupen. Eupen. And anyhow, so I'll have to contact Pete because Pete will fix it. Like, really, I was expecting that's the only reason I watched this Yanks Abroad show today was to see if he fixed.
I was honestly surprised that was a 22-minute video.
Was it 22?
The one I saw was
Well,
I saw it. I'm like, oh, I can't spend 22 minutes right now, man. I'll watch it
no,
later.
He covered all the way back to midweek. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Should we get ours done with?
Here in a second, yes. I wanted to do a couple of fluff pieces since we didn't get fluffy last time.
Oh, sure. We've already done 22 minutes of fluff. Why not some more?
It's all your fluff. You brought the fluff this time, but I brought fluff too because I mean this is a throw together show. It's supposed to be predominantly fluff.
I didn't bring any fluff. I just thought of my meatballs when we were talking about food.
Well, we've been talking about food for about at least 15 minutes of the 23 minutes.
When you talk about food, I think of my balls.
Yeah.
My wonderful balls.
Just to get you in the mood, here's a new rendition of the Holly Jolly Christmas.
Okay.
To the window, to the wall, till the sweat drops down my balls, until all these bitches crawl. Ah, skeet, skeet, goddamn, getting caught. I like to see them females twerking, taking their clothes off, bucking naked. ATL ho, don't disrespect it. 3, 6, 9, damn she fine. Hoping she can suck it to me one more time. Putting your ass right over here, ho.
Yeah.
Let me see you get low. To the window, to the wall, till the sweat drops down my balls. Oh, my golly, skeet, skeet, motherfucker, goddamn.
That's pretty good.
That's phenomenal.
I loved it. I did not know we were doing something about balls. So that's kind of weird how that thematically just melded right into all of my ball talk. That's pretty crazy.
This made my week, man, when I found this because, for one, that song came out like through high school, mainly through college.
Mm-hmm.
So, I heard that song a fuck ton. But then you hear it with this tone, and you hear just in the background, skeet, skeet.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. I liked it. It actually sounded better than the actual Christmas song. By the way, it was really cool. I'm just recommending this to people if you want to go check it out later. But Zealand went and he went to the Faroe Islands, and he did a documentary on one of the Faroe Island teams, like the first time they ever escaped I guess it's conference league. They were in a conference league in Europe and they escaped the group stage, which the team is made up of fishermen, people that work in no pros basically, except for like maybe a couple guys get paid, but they all work in the fish industry. One thing that I did learn about Zealand is he is a hairy motherfucker. I thought I was hairy, but like shit, dude, his hair's like coming out of his shirt and shit. So it's like, bam! It's a manly man. He should definitely try out for the new San Diego team when it comes to fruition.
Clearly in puberty, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really know what they're going to be called yet, or do we? San Diego FC, San Diego United. Do we know?
No. Yeah, we should know. At this
Maybe
point.
was it announced already? The San Diego Seals. That would be a cool name. The Seals. There was a hockey team named the San Diego Seals, but they are defunct. But anyhow, if you know the name of the San Diego team, let us know. It could be.
Mars saying it's FC.
Should be like the San Diego Hairy Men.
Michael says it's San Diego Fish Tacos.
I got a name for them.
That's not. No, it'd be FC. You'd have to tell them something besides tacos there. So what is that?
Now
FC.
we're gonna rename the team. It's gonna be the San Diego Puberty.
Manhole covers is what Lefty's saying.
No. San Diego Puberty. That is the name of the team.
Is saying San Diego Waves.
I wish. I mean, no, I don't wish. That sounds kind of corny. San Diego Puberty. It's for now on what I will be calling that team. That's it. Puberty FC. All righty. All right.
Sticking with the Christmas spirit, I found out why most people did not have their Christmases stolen by the Grinch.
Why is that?
Oh, because he was out partying.
Oh.
And he's like, hey, let's go, honey. Come on. It's like, nah, bro.
Grinch about to get punched, dude.
Now she ends up leaving. She's laughing.
Okay.
Question. If the rules were reversed, do you think she would be okay if he walked away laughing? Like, if he was getting, like, trying to think of, I can't use her.
So he was getting grinded. If he was getting grinded by,
if he was doing the grinding of another person, like,
oh.
I'm trying to think of an animated character you can use there. Lois Griffin, let's just say.
Okay.
Or Halloween thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say if the roles were reversed and he was doing it to her, and he walked off laughing. Do you think she would be? Do you think she would be fine with that? Do you think she'd be fine?
You think that
No.
Probably not. She would not be.
No,
But
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know. Depends on the relationship and the trust, but typically no, of course. I don't think that most would be that thrilled. I thought he doesn't look that thrilled, so he's been very nice.
Stole Chris's chick.
I mean, it's. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't hit the Grinch. If I were the Grinch, I would have been like, "Damn."
What if he was grinding up on Mrs. Claus? Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, BMR. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but either way, I think the person's going to be upset.
The attitude would not be reciprocated as well as what we just saw.
You think she would slap the chick or slap?
Oh,
him?
it would have. Yeah, she would have actually been all over Mrs. Claus. Pulling at her hair and punching and shit.
Maybe.
That guy was like too casually trying to pull his girl away, man.
He was just embarrassed.
There must have been a part of me that was thinking like, he's actually okay with that because it's kind of funny.
It is a little funny.
The Grinch, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he just didn't get the humor, and she obviously got the humor of it. Whatever that is, I'm grinding the Grinch. I guess that's the humor. All right, what else you got?
Derek, what's your thought on AI?
It's can be used for evil, and so it concerns me.
Dangerous at some point in time, maybe take over society and become the ruling class, and we become,
I don't think our current establishment. I think the current establishment ruling class will use it to take over for themselves. I'm not worried about AI being over suddenly, taking. I'm not worried as of yet about there being some sort of Terminator shit happening. But I do think that I do think the establishment class in this country, this world, could use AI, and they already are. Who are we kidding? They already are to control our lives. So, and create their own narratives that we're all supposed to live by, live under. They already do that. They already do it. Brett, has anyone ever told you to go procreate yourself?
Sure.
He has procreated twice.
Mm-hmm.
Anonymity. So yeah, I'm not
asking if I've ever been told to go fuck myself.
Has anybody ever told you to go fuck yourself?
Certainly.
Okay, yeah. Somebody said that to me before too. I don't remember it, but sure, it's happened. All right,
back to AI.
What about
as you mentioned, there's it could be used for good, it could be used for bad. There's a lot of Hollywood out there that has shown the real bad that could happen from it. But we're in the infancy as far as AI is concerned at this point. We're just learning what we can do. And what do we do with it? Well, of course, we use it to poke fun, make fun, and have fun, right?
Damn scary baby if it's in its infancy.
Here she is.
They couldn't spell Ferrera. Look at the spelling on that. It's
bad, yeah.
Ferrera. Oh, that's funny.
That's what she's saying right now. But she has a whole kind of a who look to her nose and everything. This is the thing. You can tell it's not real because you can look for the subtle things. First off, the jersey looks so static. That doesn't look like how she would hold a jersey.
Yeah, it's close enough, I guess.
Dude, what the fuck is this green stripe right here?
It's very flat looking compared to the rest of the shirt. But
and that logo, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's
still, she looks like she should be in a Dr. Seuss movie.
Yeah, it's apt. It's good enough for what.
Is there really green on the jersey?
I don't know. Is this a DC United? I mean, excuse me, a Dallas shirt.
I just assumed with it being white. That's a great point. That's a great point. It could be FC Dallas. I didn't think about that. I just assumed it was U.S. men's national team jersey.
Could be.
So I might be wrong with that. Yeah. I didn't think about that, guys. All right, let's see. We got more of them, though.
Okay.
Here's this kid. He's not happy about getting this weird-looking Pulisic jersey.
What's wrong with that? Why is he upset about that?
He's probably upset because his dad is over here toe-fucking his next present.
Maybe. It is a little buried in there, but look at the P. What's wrong with the P in the Pulisic?
Like 2 P's without a line there.
Yeah, I don't get this one. I don't get it. I don't get the wisecrack.
Somebody's posting a bunch of U.S. players and kids upset that they got that jersey instead.
Well, the Ferrer one makes sense.
It does, yeah.
But this one does not. Pulisic's done nothing but, except for the last game he just played, where he was kind of a ghost.
Maybe he is a Chelsea fan.
Well, then I feel sorry for him, Don Lefty Quixote.
Or this is more like it. Maybe he's a Juve fan.
Well, maybe. I don't. When you have to start guessing what the joke is, then it's not funny.
The joke are a bunch of. My guess would be more Mexican fans posting anti-American memes.
Is that what this is?
I'm certain. Let's see. Yeah. Well, no, not Mexican. But you get my point. Got a Tigos fan here.
Yeah, that's Costa Rica. So
yeah, all this is it's to poke fun at American players.
Well, that one's dumb. They could have picked out a lot of other players on our team.
I got one for you, Derek. How about this one?
Now that one makes more sense.
No, what, is he going to Real Salt Lake?
Yeah, he must be, because
why does that look like the Soviet Union flag right here? Almost.
It's an MLS logo.
No, but right here in the top left-hand corner of it, it looks like the sickle and hammer and shit.
I can't tell. You got a little thumb on top of it.
No, you can't really see because it's not that close. I can see it on my screen.
Oh no, it's so small.
Yeah.
I didn't notice. And if it were the sickle and hammer, it would need to be in yellow. Black.
I don't think they really go that much detail for that case. I mean, this isn't technically an American. Is that a? What's the Utrecht flag? But never mind.
All right. Anyhow, yeah. I mean, this is likely, and it would be even more funny if it were a Aze shirt. But I guess it's funny because he's probably going back to MLS.
Here we go. We have a Mexican fan here who likes his Mexican jersey.
Okay.
But then you have a USA fan that doesn't like his USA jersey.
All righty.
But first off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers in the thumb must be here. So that kid's a freak in his own right. Not a freak. He's got a deformity. I'm sorry, kid. My bad. That's probably what he probably got called names. That's my bad.
Well, he's got more. Who's number 9? Number 9 is who?
Insert striker here.
Yeah.
Ferreira. Could
Pepe.
be Balogun. It could be Pepe. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
again, I don't get these. I don't know why this kid's crying about.
I want to jump back to this one. Do you see something awkward here?
Yeah, he's wearing it and he is pulling it.
Thank you. You caught onto that quicker than anybody I've shown this to.
Yeah, no,
look, it's going around his neck.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
But his arms are out.
Yeah.
He's not holding the jersey up like this. He's wearing it. And you know what it is? The Mexico jersey is an oversized dickie is what it is.
It's not right. He's got it just around his neck then, and that's all.
It's a collar in the front of the jersey. That's it.
It's a gigantic tie.
Yeah, more or less, yes.
Yeah. That whatever. I mean, if guys find that funny, I'm not getting it.
Oh, they're not that funny. I mean, it's funny when you throw out names like Mihailovic. Yeah, of course the kid's gonna cry.
No, that one.
Kid's gonna cry.
The Ferrer,
that's funny.
Ferrer one was great.
And I understand the Mexican fan who's wearing the jersey but not wearing the jersey and laughing because that's kind of weird in its own right. And then the American jersey's upset because he got an American jersey because that's a troll. That's just a troll.
I guess
that's fine. But the Pulisic one was strange.
That's
strange and like why?
It's low rate, very low rate trolling.
Yeah.
It's poorly done, poorly thought out.
I will say though, but despite the fact that the kids have like 6 fingers and they're not necessarily wearing the jersey, even though they're wearing the jersey, AI is getting better and better every time I come see some of these things.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to fuck around and use AI and make some stuff, but
I feel like some of the stuff that you might make, Derek, might get us sued.
Yeah, or get me thrown in jail, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had a lot of fun. Do you want to do Yanks abroad? Or do you want to go into some soccer topics?
We can go into Yanks abroad, get it over with, because we usually wait till the very end, and by then, whatever.
Everybody's already left. I agree.
So Austin Trusty went 90 in that tie. He played great, and Sheffield United they fucked themselves. They let in a late goal, and they should have won the game 1-0. They fucked up. But good game for Austin Trusty. I'm starting to really feel like maybe he should be gaining some trust by this point. Like, if Miles Robinson does what everybody thinks Miles Robinson's going to do, which is take the payday and stay in MLS.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is 28 years old, right? 27?
27, I think, yeah.
I mean, he's a little old for going over to Europe, and what if it doesn't work out? I guess he can always go back to MLS, but is he going to make the kind of DP-ish money that he's going to make at Cincinnati? Probably not. So he's going to cash in more than likely. And if Austin Trusty's still over there kicking it with the big boys in the Premier League, and I don't even think Miles Robinson can make a Premier League team, then why isn't he being called up instead of Miles Robinson? At that point, it becomes one thing, and that's Greg. That's on Greg, and Greg being a dick. That's
100% at this point. It is Greg who's familiar with Miles at this point, and less to do with Trusty, who he's not necessarily familiar with. He's had 1 or 2 windows with him. Could Robinson have gone over to England and maybe eventually worked his way onto as the starting role for one of the relegation bound teams?
I don't know. The way he played this year, I doubt it. But
it's possible. But I mean, yeah. You got to remember, because the image that Greg has burned into his brain is was it ACL or was it Achilles that he busted?
Achilles.
So it was pre-injury, and then he came back and he had everybody keeps talking about he had a horrible season with ATL. I don't know.
He didn't have a horrible season. He started out good, but as the season went on, he played worse. So, we'll see. But at this point, don't tell me in the next press conference, Greg, that it's such a difficult decision, picking the center backs. Because there's this guy named Miles Robinson. He plays really well in MLS. And then there's this guy, Austin Trusty, who's, a starter. And yes, the worst Premier League team, but he's a starter every single game. And he's not going to get a look when Miles Robinson couldn't even make a Premier League team. I don't think he could. I think if he went over, it'd be in a championship team.
That's why I said one of the guaranteed relegation bound teams is they're practically most of the people who are relegation bound anyways already at this point are predominantly championship teams.
Yeah. Dwayne Holmes, 77 minutes. I don't remember what the result was in that one. Toljon went 90 at left back. Left back. Hello. He's been playing left back the last 4 games in a row. I don't know why they moved him over there because he was playing right back at the beginning of the season. But
same reason why Scally probably played left back.
Injuries, whatever. But here's another guy that can play left back. Hello.
Left back, right back. He's a guy who's playing in Serie A, so fuck it. Give him a shot.
Serie A.
Give him a call.
No one cares. No one cares. It's just unbelievable to me.
It's starting to make me question his status. I know Brian has said he's good to play for the US.
Yes.
But I'm like, the fact that Berhalter and company have not even given him a sniff makes me wonder that either he told the Federation to fuck off, he's not interested, or it's in question of whether or not he's qualified to.
So we know a few years ago, he found his father's parents in the United States, tracked them down, and was able to confirm. And I don't know if he needs to take a fucking DNA test or what the fuck he needs to do at this point. But here's a guy playing at Serie A for Sassuolo, been doing very well, been there for 3 seasons straight, is a regular starter, and just give us a reason why he's not being sniffed out or asked to come and play left back as Jedi's backup instead of some guy playing in Serie B named Lund.
For now. He'll probably be in Syria next season.
No, he won't. I don't think Palermo's going to make it.
No, you don't think so?
No.
It's possible.
Pulisic, 70 minutes, and a mostly ghostly 70 minutes. Probably the worst game of the season. Not like he played bad. He just wasn't involved. Musa was out with an injury. I tell you what, my nose is just itching like a motherfucker tonight. Salalem went 46 for Den Bosch in their win. Injury alert for Salalem. Pulled at halftime. Rick Van Hees, 90 for Utrecht 2 in a loss. Coaching went 30 for Barcelona in that friendly versus Zendejas and Club America. So he got his debut, Diego coaching. Matt Turner.
I was gonna bring that up, but I was like, well, that was the day we were doing our live stream. I was like,
that was Thursday.
That's old news. Yeah,
it is. I only brought it up. I usually wouldn't bring up a Thursday.
I think some people brought that up in the chat.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
Probably. Matt Turner, 90 in a loss. They lost 3-2. 2 of the goals he could do absolutely nothing about. One of them a little questionable. It was a header, sort of you thought maybe he could get like a finger on it or something, but he didn't. I don't think he's going to lose his job for that though, because they do have the new manager now, and I think he's going to probably hang in there with Matt, because Matt's not the problem. The problem is the defense sucks. Reggie Cannon, 84 in a loss. Kelman got 6 as well there for QPR in that loss. Lyndon Gooch, 90 in a tie. Haji Wright, 84 and an assist in a win. Haji played really well in that game, by the way. And he got, man, they just pull his ass down because they know he's too physical. So, like, if he got the ball and he's fast, they just try to yank him down in that game. And he wouldn't go down, but one time they actually did tackle him, for fucking sake. McKennie, 90 and an assist in a win. Again, McKennie's just been amazing. He's been great. He's been fantastic. Weah went 20. I didn't even notice Weah was on the field when he was on there for 20 minutes. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. I don't know, but I don't remember his name being called out. I don't remember seeing him. Slonina, 90 in a loss for Eupen. Eupen.
Eupen?
Eupen. Tack. Oifen. All right. Not that I'm the pronunciation police, because I'm not. Because we fuck things up here all the time.
Wait, so who going back one player, who did you say that you don't recall?
Wea.
What'd you say about McKinney, though?
He's fantastic. He
Yeah.
went the full 90, got an assist.
Yeah.
He's fucking great.
Okay.
They won the game. It's still like watching, I don't know what you want to call that kind of ball. I don't want to call it terrorist ball, but it is like once they went up 1-0, you're kind of like, oh God, here we go.
It was yet another game that I thought McKinney was going to get a goal.
Yeah, he was close. He had an opportunity. Yep. He was a hair off, hit the bar.
It's 2 games in a row right now that he almost scored. Amazing goals too, by the way.
Yeah. Mendez, 65 for Vizela in a tie. They are currently in 15th, so near the bottom of the table. They're in Portugal. Kevin Lund, 45 in a tie. They yanked him at halftime. I don't know why.
Yeah, I saw somebody. I think it was Sumar was talking about how Lund is so mid, and they pulled him out at the 45th minute. So maybe he just did not have a great game.
He never plays 90. They always pull his ass. 70 usually. That's 70th. Tessman, 90. Now, I got to watch a pretty good highlight setup of this game. And Tessman was a fucking bulldog in that game, man. 90 minutes, an assist, and a goal in a tie. Without him, they would have lost that game. There's no doubt in my mind. And Bucio rode pine for full 90.
Jeez.
And that was against Novakovic's team. Lecho.
I think if Venezia does not go up this season, Tessman is absolutely gone.
I think you're
He's
right.
absolutely going to get picked up.
I think so. I do too. No, because he's a boss. He's a boss. He's fucking it like a boss in Serie B.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they played against Novakovic's Lecho. And Novakovic actually had a decent game. He drew one of the penalty kicks for Lecho for one of the goals. He got an assist in the other goal for Lecho. So a decent game for the guy that kind of disappeared for a while. And that's Novakovic. Osandina went 82 and a goal for Dordrecht. This is down in the 2nd division in Holland, along with his teammate John Hilton, who went 90. And then CCV went 90 in a win. No big deal there. Then we had the big face-off, right? We had Antwerp and Sam Vines against Griffin Yao and Westerlo. And it would have been cool to watch Reynolds face off against Vines, but guess what? Reynolds, right before game, he was on the starting lineup, had to be pulled for diarrhea, so he couldn't play. He was shitting his pants.
Is this one of your typical jokes or legit diarrhea?
Well, what else is going to keep you out of the game when you're on the starters lineup list, and then minutes before the game, you get yanked out? They say,
a pre-match injury. We saw what happened with Ariel, and then Wea got his start, and then we never saw Ariel start again. No. So my guess he sprained a pinky toe while doing a pre-match cut.
I think he got diarrhea. Honestly, it was diarrhea.
Like when you mentioned it without saying Reynolds, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
and he explained why Reynolds wasn't included. I was like, oh, okay.
That's why I made a special effort to watch the game, because I thought I was going to watch 3 Americans. Then I ended up watching 2. Now, Griffin Yao.
Oh, the horror.
Griffin Yao has moments, man, where you're like, this is a pretty good player. But he also had an absolute whiff on a shot, a total whiff. And he had a couple other moments where you're like, he's still got some work to go, this Griffin Yao. Whereas Sam Vines played like a pro for the most.
Where does Griffin play? What position?
He Griffin Yao is a right winger. Sort of I don't know what formation they played, but he looked to be fairly far up the field most of the time. It might be more of an attacking mid situation.
BMR says right wing.
Is it right wing? So I was right. Yeah. All right. I like being right. Vines, by the way, was pulled at the 63rd, but it's not because I think he's played poorly. It was because he hasn't played for so long that I'm sure they're worried about his fitness. So they gave him the 60 and pulled him out. Brett, Why in the name of fuck did you choose to let Derek try to read these foreign names?
You should hear me.
Which foreign names am I fucking up? Lecho? So anonymity.
People were.
Is it Leco or Lecho?
So BMR said Leco.
Okay.
Anonymity said let's go.
That cannot be let's go. No way. So anyhow, let us know. We like to get things right here eventually. So if we do fuck up, let us know. We try to fix it. I used to say Oipen correctly. Then I heard Pete do Oopin. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm fucking up. So I started pronouncing it Oopin. And I think it might have been BMR who said, no, you had it right, dude. Go back to what you were saying. You were right. So let us know. We like to be correct around here. Try to be respectful of foreign countries' names. Yeah, I mean, it's okay if you fuck up, but if somebody tells you you're wrong and you never fix it, then, you're just being stubborn.
Yeah.
Stubborn. Right, Tack? Tack, you being stubborn, motherfucker? All right. That's all I got. Those are players abroad.
Yeah. It took him a year and a half to just say Gladbach. I mean, I know he does a whole Borussia Mönchengladbach, but Gladbach.
And he had such a hard time with Heidenheim. How hard is Heidenheim?
Heidenheim, yeah, seriously.
That one's easy.
I mean, you don't have to give the whole name. Everybody knows who Gladbach is. Just say Gladbach.
Yeah.
Heidenheim. Seriously, it's so simple at this point. Maybe it's it's just going from speaking Portuguese to speaking English to trying to speak German. I don't know. Maybe it's a tongue twister, but Heidenheim.
That's really
Heidenheim.
easy. Oh,
Heidenheim.
So easy. I mean, if you can say
even I can't fuck that one up.
If you can say Hoffenheim, you can say Heidenheim. They're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Now we can move on.
Oh, we done?
Yeah, that's it. That's all the players that played this weekend.
With how much we've been talking about Dortmund and with the BVB blog page,
boy.
I think we should have an intro for it. And I know it's made it sound like we had an intro for it right there, but I don't want to do the transfer news. But
it could be over soon anyhow. So if I make it and then he leaves, then it will be useless to use.
Derek, how long do you think it took me to do the transfer news intro?
Judging by the quality, I'd
The answer
say
is too long. Too long. It took me too long to do that fucking intro.
That shouldn't have taken that long.
For what it's worth. And I know everybody knows what it is, but
transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news, but me.
That's nothing special. And I still took way too long. I mean, it took me less than a day, of course. I was at work and I did it. Well, I'm just that took me way too long to isolate the audio from a stream, to throw it over top of what I basically did in MS Paint.
If you had Movavi bread, that would have taken you 5 minutes. But
true.
Anyhow.
I don't do enough editing in that sense. Maybe I will moving forward with all the soccer games we'll be playing.
It would have been easier for you to tell me, i.e. Derek, make an introduction for transfer
but I couldn't do that to you, Derek, because I didn't want to ruin the surprise of taking your transfer news and turning it into an animated GIF there, because
that's all right. No, I appreciate it.
Normally, Derek, I would throw it in. Hey, Derek, come up with another intro for this.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, tomorrow. Wait, hold on. Are you working tomorrow?
No. Not working until the new year.
Oh, you took time off, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I did, because why would I want to go? Why would I want to take time off from school when there are no kids and no staff?
That's true.
Glorious time to be there.
Well, good for you. No, I'm going to be working on our new intro to this show to replace the one we got now. I probably will leave some of the bits in there that are kind of our bread and butter. I do want to add more sound effects to the Beavis and Butthead part. Like when the ball hits me in the head, there should be a sound, right? Wow. There's no sound. Yeah. So there are small things that need to be fixed.
Derek, if you get bored tomorrow, come up with like a 5-second BVB news blog intro. Just so whenever he transfers out here in January, it'll become obsolete.
Yeah, exactly. There's just no point in making it, because he'll be gone in January. If everything, all the rumors are correct, he'll be gone in January. Mm-hmm. But yeah, by the way, I have nothing personal against Jamie Bino Gittins, but the fact that he starts over Reyna does piss me off.
Would you prefer Reyna to start but play out in the right wing?
I'll take him anywhere.
Fair enough.
At this point, because he used to play out wide for Dortmund, and I liked it that he played. Now they bring in this kid. He immediately becomes a starter. He takes and Royce and Reyna are in his shit house, Turzic's shit house. But what's good about this quote is, of course, that, and this makes me laugh, that Jamie Bino Gittins picks out Reyna and Royce, the two players that are in the doghouse for the most part, especially Royce, for Turcic.
Now, especially, yes.
And he says, when you watch him on videos, Reyna, you have to pay attention to what he does before receiving the ball, or take Marco Royce, how he moves with the ball, his fantastic technique. I can learn a damn lot from people like them, yet you start over both of them. So maybe they should learn something from you. Or maybe Turcic should open his fucking eyeballs. But, who am I? And now Turcic's playing even more of the younger players, which is fine, except he's not playing our younger player.
I feel maybe the board is chiming in and saying, hey, our whole spiel, the only reason why we make money is because we start these young players and we sell them for bucket loads.
Yes.
We don't play the young players, we won't make bucket loads. So
right.
There's just like the US and how we had that dark period of no talent. There is a small window of young players that were brought in that Turcic had, and he's not used them. That's their dark period. And Reyna happens to fall in that. Now he's finally jumping on board the whole youth play,
There was a point when I used to watch Dortmund, and I'd watch Bellingham, and I would watch Reyna, and I really considered them.
Yeah, this was fun.
I really considered them to be not Holland. That's a different animal altogether. But I really considered at that point in development that Bellingham and Reyna had sort of the same arc, Yet now Bellingham's become one of the best players in the world. And Reyna has been stunted by an injury and then not being played anymore.
Stunted by a coach.
Yes. So to me, your development art is being crushed by this dude. You got to get away from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's poison. And by the way, he'll remain poison to this team. Because guess what happened to them last year? All they had to do was get a tie to win the fucking Bundesliga.
We talked about this beforehand. They got a tie. They needed to win.
And they failed.
They should have won. That was the thing. They should have won against the team who they're playing against. That shouldn't have been a question.
Mainz, it was the stench of that failure is still lingering on Turcic. I'm telling you, it's not going away. Yes, they managed to get through the group stage in Champions League, but the stench will follow, especially in league play, and how poorly they are playing and functioning as a group right now. Gio Reyna's contract expires in 2025. His future has not yet been decided. The bosses at Borussia Dortmund do not want to enter the final year of his contract under any circumstances. This means the contract will be extended or the player will be sold. And I tell you what, if Reyna takes an extension at this point, he is stupid. Unless Turcic gets fired and the new manager comes in and he's pretty sure he can get some PT. Otherwise, get the fuck out of Dortmund.
My take at this point is that he needs to just be sold, because even if you bring in a new manager, you have at this point, it's all questionable. It really is. So you might as well go to a team that actually wants you at this point.
Imagine this:
Okay.
he gets sent. He gets transferred to a new team,
Sure.
and then that new team. This is like the Tuchel situation with Pulisic. Hires Turcic to be their new coach. What a nightmare that would fucking be.
Yeah.
That's like the Tuchel nightmare all over again.
Put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I know Pulisic's like,
Put that evil on me.
Fuck, you hired Tuchel?
So
fucking shit.
I can't imagine, given the last year of questionable play, because he just got back from the injury, and then we made the argument for like a couple months after he's back from injury, like, well, he was been injured, so he's working his way back into it. Because prior to the injury, he was a consistent starter for Dortmund. He's playing with Holland, with Bellingham, and they're playing great soccer all together.
Yes.
It looked great.
Yep.
And then he got injured and he was out for a year. That sucked. But he came back and we're like, well, he's got to work his way back into it all. Well, the team's playing well, so how do you really fit him back in? And then it's just been one thing after another, and he has to leave this area at this point.
Yeah.
Go to a new team, because then anybody that's going to be placing a bid for him at this point, they're going to be dropping at least 20 mil on him.
And it seems
maybe
to me,
a little bit less at this point. But
this team's playing like shit. You'd think you would try to find a new combination of players to put out on the pitch, but
yeah.
he doesn't. He's not even like, there are guys that get to play now a lot more, but they're not named Reina. So it's time to leave. It's as simple as that. Fuck this guy.
Right. I'm just quickly taking a look to see where I know they're in 5th, but they are currently
they're done.
They're 2 points away from being in Champions League at this point. 2 wins. Let me rephrase this. So they're 6 points off of Leipzig.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Their only hope is that they can reach a Champions League spot at this point, or win Champions League for that matter. But
Obi-Wan, you're our only hope.
Mm-hmm.
No, there is no hope for BVB this season. If Turdie stays, they continue to stink.
He is going to say though they made that announcement.
No, they said they made the announcement that he's going to be the coach. They're not replacing him through the January window. That doesn't mean he's still not going to get fired next season or the next half.
Season. So yes, I agree with that. Yes.
The next half of the season. If they continue to suck, he will get fired.
Sure,
I guarantee it.
I imagine, yes.
Yeah. So they were only guaranteeing the press or telling the press, no, we're not firing him. We know we are not hiring someone during the winter break. That doesn't mean he's got his job for the rest of the season. He could still fuck that up.
Well, imagine at this point, if he doesn't get replaced in the winter, which we know he's not going to.
Nope.
And he gets fired, it's basically going to be an assistant that's going to take over until they can get the next person they want. The next person that they want is not going to be available midway through the season.
I mean, there's some guys out there. There are some guys out there.
But come March, do you think those guys will be still out there?
Yeah, there are some weird ones that are still out there. Why? I don't know. I'm thinking of the former Tottenham manager, the young guy. It's about 4 managers ago for Tottenham. Via Boas. Really good. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Great manager. But I guess he kind of retired from managing, I think. I don't believe that. You never really retire. They'll find somebody to take that job right away that's out of work right now. There are some good managers out of work right now. So I'm sure they'll be able to replace him. Or they'll just do what you said. They'll just have an assistant manager come in and do it. Or they'll go out and get St. Pauli's manager and steal it.
Put up the cash.
Yep. Does MLS need a relegation system? Man, I know that he says something really stupid. Oh, yeah. This is where he just rambles on about this whole thing he created in his head about how MLS is going to buy USL and then there are
tweets about this. He's talked about this for about a week now.
I know, but his verbal explanation of how it would all work. And tell me if this makes one lick of sense to you at all.
Okay.
All right. Well, what needs to be done from a promotion relegation standpoint?
Oh boy.
To satisfy all of the stakeholders, I guess you could call them, and the new stakeholders, let's be honest, because there's all of these new teams. Now, who knows? Maybe you buy it lock, stock, and barrel, and all the owners are gone, and it's just MLS operating it.
What?
I'm just pausing here for a second.
So he's basically saying MLS is just going to have all this magic cash laying around, first of all, and they're going to buy up USL, all the teams at once. I mean, I don't know where you get all that money when all the fucking owners of MLS are constantly bitching and moaning and crying about losing money every year.
So here's what you do. San Diego's come in, you probably already assigned all that money, but the next team that comes in, it's going to be close to $1 billion just to get into the league within a stadium. You take that money and you say, hey, USL, here you go. We'll take your teams. Thank you. But then what?
It's horrible.
But then
idea.
What happens there? It's because the promotion relegation within MLS is fake.
Well, we're getting to that. We're getting to that part. But what I'm saying is, why would you do that if your MLS win? You just pointed out the San Diego money, right? And the next team coming in is going to have to pay up probably $800 million to get in the league. Well, if you just go and buy up all the teams from USL who would be the suitors coming into MLS and giving you that $800 million, why would you cut that funnel off? You love that funnel. That funnel's awesome.
Just focus on the teams that are doing great in USL and buy them out.
I wouldn't do that either.
Or just say by saying, hey, here's an expansion. Hey, Indianapolis, I see you're constantly selling out like 10,000 seats a game. You know, questionable on the ownership as far as the amount of money and being successful in MLS, but we can work on that later. Why don't we contemplate on assisting you on getting an MLS side?
Okay, all the other MLS teams would cry foul. They said, hey, we had to pay in $600 million to get in the league, and now you're going to let these guys come into our league for free just because you bought them? See what I'm saying? This is what he's saying. He's saying you just go out and buy Indy 11. Why would MLS do that? Because you know what? If MLS went to Indy 11 owners tomorrow and said, listen, we want you in the league. If you can find an investor to pony up $600 million, you can come in 2 years from now. You know what we're doing? We're finding somebody who can pony up $600 million.
100%, yeah.
And they're going to go out, and Ursula will be flying all over Indianapolis.
That's what I was saying, Derek. I was agreeing with you on this point. Yes, I was saying that.
Yeah,
maybe not necessarily as well as you just pointed out there, but basically saying, "Hey, Indy, I see you're doing great things here. We want you here. Here's the stipulation."
Okay, the stipulation is $600 million.
a little stipulation.
And if you're MLS, right, you've got this constant funnel of Division II teams. You can bring up one every 2 or 3 years until infinity and continue to make $800 million a year. Why would you do that and throw $800 million at USL and buy it from them? Now you're just losing what you usually got every 2 or 3 seasons, a new team and more money.
Yeah.
So no, they're not going to do this. And it pisses me off that Alexa even puts a stupid fucking idea like this out there because it doesn't make financial sense in any way. Does it make financial sense at all? And it doesn't make any rational sense either.
So I don't know if we talked about this last show or not. With MLS reserves competing with USL and what MLS is planning on doing with the reserve team and etc. But there is an article out, and I think we did go over this, but there was an article where MLS is aiming to take their reserve league, which is right now Division 3, and continuing to pillage USL and say, hey guys, why don't you come over here and we'll form a Division 2 and Division 3, and there's going to be relegation and promotion between those two divisions. And then maybe in the future we'll incorporate Division 1 in there.
Bullshit.
So that's what they was. I don't know if Dong Lover was the one that pointed this out, but or Gobbler. Sorry, not Lover. Gobbler.
Yeah.
Gobbler. Whatever. If he's the one that had this interview, but he talked about the possibility later on because they want to have this this promotion relegation between the system where our reserve teams are playing against men. And then there's going to be promotion relegation between those divisions. And eventually, we may think about incorporating these teams that have been in Division 1 this entire time into
what's the source from that? Is that an MLS?
It was a legit interview with Don. Don was the source.
No, he didn't say anything about promotion and relegation.
Yes.
No, not to the first division. And
no. That was a little snippet at the very end where he says basically, maybe we'll think, maybe it'll happen, you know. Yes, yeah. It doesn't necessarily say, oh, this is the plan, we're going to do this, and then 5 years down the road, we're going to include the first division. It's always like, maybe we'll do it then.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
Oh, of course.
He's full of shit.
Of course he is.
Yeah. Go ahead and keep playing this because it gets more
going forward. I don't know. Or
you don't know.
Maybe you bring everybody in, everybody sells, and then they sell off the teams to new owners, these new USL teams that they have. But when it comes to promotion relegation, you can, as you said, maybe you start with one of the leagues or one section of the leagues that you acquired in the terms of USL. I've already said that I think USL, regardless if it's acquired by MLS or not, should do it. And they have talked about that and certainly looked at it. And again, there is nothing stopping anybody else out there from going and implementing a promotion relegation.
So, Derek, what's stopping USL from doing it right now?
The same reason they won't do it in MLS. The owners who have put in and bought into USL Championship and in some cases are building a massive fucking stadium downtown Indianapolis, for instance. Why would
hypothetically, of course.
Why would they want to risk that?
Why would it? We kind of talked about this too.
We did. So we're retracing old
yeah.
You don't think it's going to make that big of a difference
if
they get relegated? I think it would.
I brought the point. I don't think the market itself, and I don't think where USL is getting their money from is going to necessarily recognize going from USL 1 or Championship to USL 2nd Division or whatever as greatly as saying going from EPL to Championship. It's the same thing. Yes, you're going down the division, but I think it's going to be completely different when you're talking about the marketing itself. I mean, as far as the amount of money that comes in, because I don't think it's going to be that drastic of a difference.
Maybe, maybe not. But as you can see clearly, the owners of USL teams who've made it very clear they want nothing to do with being relegated back down to League One. Don't want anything to do with it. And they're fighting it tooth and nail because they think it's going to make a difference, Brett. So they must be doing some math and thinking this is not good for us as a team to go down to Division 3 from Division 2. We're already permanently relegated as it is from Division 1, and now we're going to be sent down to Division 3. How much more abuse can we take?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where like USL is not necessarily considering Division 1 as an option when it comes to marketing. Well, as far as just proposing when it comes to trying to get investors and stuff, because there's zero chance for them to ever become a Division 1 unless they can find that investor that's just going to pony up the damn near close to $1 billion to get an MLS franchise. So,
right.
I don't know. Is there more to hit this?
Yes.
Rambling? Okay.
It gets more rambling.
Structure. Okay. Getting a bunch of teams, getting a bunch of leagues together and having promotion relegation. And in essence, that's what you would be doing. But because what you're really doing is giving a grace period to the existing MLS owners that all bought into this with the understanding that there was not going to be the risk of relegation.
Right.
Whether you agree with it or not.
So this grace period, which apparently you'll later on here in a second, he's going to say is going to be one season. So you're going to give the MLS owners a one season grace period before they kick in promotion and relegation.
Ignore the MLS owners. You're going to give San Diego one season to make to try to make back any form of the capital that they just ponied up for. No, that's not. There's no chance. It'd have to be at least a decade or more.
Yes. It's just not going to happen that way. They will not. The MLS owners would not have. And guess who Don Garber works for in the end?
Derek, real quick. I need
MLS.
Evie, shot me a text. I'll be right back, okay?
All right. You going to play this? Just finish it.
Do you want me to just let it run?
How long are you going to be gone?
A minute, probably.
Okay. Well, then just leave it.
Okay. I'll be right back.
If I could hit pause, it'd be great, but I can't. Anyhow, he goes on rambling about this grace period that he's going to say. Let's say it's a year, I think is what he ends up saying. It's not going to work. None of the 3 years won't work. It won't work. They don't want anything to do with being relegated to anything. And once you have, let's say you have all the USL teams like he is envisioning in MLS, you just have a gigantic MLS with 50 teams in it, 60 teams. You have an East, a West, a North, and a South league They all play against one another. Then they all come together and have playoffs. There's no need for any promotion or relegation because everybody's in the league. I mean, because none of them are going to want to have if you're a new USL team and you pay in the $600 million to get into MLS, if you're one of the ex-USL teams and you buy into MLS, how many years are you going to have to stick around in MLS 2? It's much more likely that if they're, and by the way, it's not likely at all that MLS buys USL. It's not likely at all. That's where they're getting their constant stream of money, is going to these cities where USL teams are and either scooping up the USL team or fucking the USL team like they are in San Diego and creating a brand new team with some, gazillionaire. And so if it were to happen that all of a sudden there were all these new owners who were paying the $600 million fee to move from USL to MLS, it would just be one big flat league. There would be no promotion and no relegation. So I just explained, Brett, that let's say there are 60 teams now who have all paid the $600 million fee to get into MLS. Well, then you just break down the teams into East, West, North, and South, basically 4 leagues, and they're all Division 1. Nobody has to worry about relegation, right? You're all equals now. You all paid the fee, so you're all equals. There're just a whole lot more teams, aren't there? And so you just play as a flat system. There's actually no reason necessarily to go to MLS 1, MLS 2. You just have one gigantic MLS. I mean, there's one gigantic NFL, right? And that's probably what they would do. Anyhow, go ahead and finish this.
Okay.
Hopefully Evie's all right.
That's what the
kid had a bloody nose.
I had a bloody nose as well.
Had a running intervention there, so
okay.
It was a whole shtick.
purchase was premised on. And you have to walk that back. And so what you're going to have to do, like I said, is give a grace period, some sort of grandfathered type of moment, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, who knows? Maybe it leads up to 24. And as soon as 24 is done, it's back on. Now, again, this is an intra-MLS type of promotion relegation that you are having here. So a lot of people will feel that that's a bastardized version of it. But
is it a bastardized version of promotion relegation if MLS holds all the cards?
It's not really the same thing.
It's not quite the same thing.
Because it's
Who
all
really cares?
It's franchises, right?
Yeah.
They're not really, I mean, it's still a single entity. So it's not really the same thing. But yeah. And when he said 2024, I thought he meant 2024. Like
that's where the 1 year you thought was, right?
Yeah, but he said 2 or 3 years. It's 2 years is a joke. 3 years.
3 years is a joke still.
Yes,
again, some of the older teams that have been around for decades, sure, you can make that argument. At this point, you finally started to make money. Mind you, they probably made back their money that they initially invested because that was such a smaller amount compared to what they're forcing teams to pay now.
Right.
I don't know that I don't know how you can go around convincing many investors to drop damn near close to $1 billion for an MLS side. When you probably take that $1 billion and do what Wrexham's doing to an extent, even just get a lesser team and then really work your way up from there. Hell, even if you get in the championship and you're just used to developing players and selling them off, you'd probably make more money than you would here in MLS.
Probably. I think the real frustrating part about this is that he hasn't really thought this through. He hasn't thought it through.
Mm-mm.
And he's just shooting off the cuff without never really seriously sat down and considered it, like the realities of this. He's just making up a Disney World thing that you got to explain how this would work, Lexi. You just can't spout off with some nonsense and then as like on the go He's just making it up as he's going here. But go ahead. Let him.
Well, that's because he's spent the last handful of years spouting off that there's never going to be promotion or relegation because this is a business and MLS is not in the business of handing out charity there. So why would they incorporate it?
Exactly.
And that's you and I've been saying that for years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever see a promotion relegation? No, I really don't. Unless MLS fails and USL unless USL finds a way to outpace MLS with the relegation promotion system. Don't think it's going to happen, but it would require MLS to fail before anything happens because I don't see them ever implementing because there's no reason for them to ever implement it.
Why would MLS fail before USL? They've got all the power in this relationship.
I don't know. The USSF has started stepping back from that relationship. So I mean, if they start focusing resources towards USF or USL, not necessarily a tomorrow, but a decade from now, 2 decades from now, who knows?
They don't have the money. They can barely run their youth programs right now. U.S. Soccer.
Sure, that's fair.
I mean,
they've been compensating MLS for decades. So just take that money and just go, yes.
I mean, we've already talked about, well, we don't really have the money realistically to hire the kind of coach we would want, a big time coach, even though they've all publicly said that's not true, but it is true.
Well, I think part of that plays into the fact that you have the equal pay issue that's going on right now. So if they were to go out and hire somebody for $4 million, they would feel inclined or push towards paying the women's coach the same price. That's kind of what it sounds like. That
is one of the issues Davies brought up.
So,
right?
Yeah. So it's one of those things like maybe the concept of, well, Berhalter was the best coach we can get, especially for the price, because we have to compensate women's coach equally. And we can't go too crazy because we can't go too crazy on this end also. Right.
That's one of the reasons. But they were also talking about, now that with the equal pay situation, they've had to take a lot of the monies that used to go to the youth programs, take it back in order to afford paying the women equally. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't seen the ledger. That's just what I've been told. That doesn't make it 100% true, but that's what I'm hearing. So I guess it's kind of like you made the bed, now you got to sleep in it. But let's let him finish. Sorry, I didn't think this would take this long.
To your point, maybe you start it with the acquisition that you have just in the USL teams, I guess it would be former USL teams that you have. And you see how that goes for a couple of years. And MLS still operates in and of itself and alone in terms of relegation, but it's still under the whole MLS thing. And then I guess, all bets are off and the gate opens up and this panacea and this magic bullet that everybody seems to believe that promotion relegation exists. And again, I know it's not in the most purest form that a lot of people want.
So I hate this talking point that he always takes. This magic bullet. If we had promotion relegation, it'd fix it. That's what people keep saying, right?
Well, some people do say that.
True, but he's missing. He knows the points that they're trying to make in the sense that there's a difference between the innovation that a team has to take to avoid relegation or wants to consistently avoid relegation as far as development is concerned, investment, all that stuff. When you're a team in MLS and you have no concerns about what place you really finish in, I mean, you want to make the playoffs, you want to win shit. But if you don't and you get the wooden spoon, who the fuck really cares?
No, I get it.
A season or two, and the next season maybe you're vying for a playoff spot. I'm looking at you, Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I mean, he just seems to get more flippant as the conversation goes on.
But I guess my point would be with the promotion relegation, there'd be more investment in development. There'd be more focusing higher on coaching, the developments of coaching, and not necessarily just the circle jerk of rotation of former MLS coaches to other new teams. I mean, there'd be more innovation as far as how to be successful instead of the slow dredge. Of course, as we have more soccer readily available, there's going to be more interest. My son has now as a 9-year-old who never really focused that heavily on soccer until just recently has 3 customized jerseys. He's got he's playing games, he's watching games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's more to say than what we were able to do when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, over time, as far as that stuff being readily available, it's going to improve. But if you have innovation pushing you, because as a team, you don't necessarily want to get relegated or relegated again, it makes a difference. So this whole magic bullet thing, I think, is just a straw man talking point.
Yeah, it is. I don't think everybody thinks that it's I don't think everybody wants it just because they think it's a solution to everything that's wrong with U.S. soccer right now. Some people want it because they just think it's fair. It's fair that everywhere else in the world, there's promotion and relegation, except for a few other spots that are like us and have the same sort of system we do.
Before we go any further, are we done with this video?
No.
Okay.
Like Australia. I really wish we were done with this video. I honestly fucking do wish we were done, but he keeps babbling on for so long.
Right. I'll come back to it. But I don't want to jump back to a point you're making right now. So I wanted to pull this up real quick.
The vast majority of American soccer fans that don't watch MLS watch Liga MX, which hasn't had Pro Rel since 2020. Like, that's a long time ago. 2020, it had Pro and Rel for like forever until just recently because of, well, COVID was one of the reasons they used for ending promotion and relegation. And of course, they're talking about bringing it back. So no, you can't just say, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Are we really going back as far as pretending that the massive Liga MX fan base was built in the past 4 years? It's a good point because it's ridiculous.
How many fans of Liga MX were developed in these 4 years?
These last 4 years, yeah, and it was all because there's no Pro Rel.
Hallelujah!
All these fans said there's no Pro Rel. I'm going to go be a Liga MX fans. How some of these people exist and their lack of rational thought, like. That's like putting A and C together, or 1 + 1 = 3. You know, people don't think rationally when they post stuff like this.
Beamer says Andrew started watching soccer in 2021.
Well, good for Andrew, but he's got more problems than promotion and relegation. He's got a problem with logic.
It's always these ridiculous hot takes with some of these people. I mean, we're talking about laws. He does hot takes, and I think some of them he actually believes. I think some of them he does it just for the clicks and the interactions.
He doesn't believe any of that shit.
But I mean, and then I know when it comes to promotion relegation, I mean, he lived it, he experienced it, quite frankly, I think his actual stance that he's lived on is a realistic stance. MLS is a business. Why the fuck would they want to fuck around with that?
That is realistic.
Fine, that's fine. It's a fine standpoint. He might say he can come out and say, my personal opinion, I would love promotion relegation because it's exciting.
That's what we say.
But MLS is a business, and Fortnite, they need to make sure their investors and their backers and everything like that are getting paid.
Okay, so we wouldn't put it like that. Here's how I would put it. Yes, I would love to have Pro Rel. Would love to have it, but let's be realistic about the way the system is, which is single entity, and if it can change when all the people within that single entity are the ones with all the power, all right, and all the money, and they don't want to give it up. That's just how greed works. Yep. It's like F1. The F1 teams don't want fucking Michael Andretti and his Andretti team to join Formula One. Why? Because there's a pie, there's some money for every season, and right now it's split between 10 teams. Mm-hmm. They don't want to split the same pie with 11 teams because that's a smaller piece of the pie as far as they're concerned. So even though Andretti meets every rule and regulation and every requirement, he has got a fucking partnership with Cadillac, the biggest GM being the biggest one of the biggest automakers in the world, and they still don't want him. Even though the FIA, which is the ruling body, has already approved him, the other owners in Formula One don't want him. even though he's going to pay a $200 million entry fee. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
They still don't want him because they still don't think that's going to make up the pie, the parts of the pie they're going to lose. And these guys that run MLS or are invested in MLS teams as franchisees, they don't want to share. They don't want to share unless you're going to pump in another $800 million. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They paid in. They don't want to be kicked out of something they were guaranteed was going to be one way. So let's finish up this video.
Yep. We'll jump back to it real quick.
If this is Alexi's way of mapping out his vision for how this would all work, it's pretty lame.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just building you take a single entity, you have all of the teams get underneath it, and then there's this fake promotion relegation system behind it. I don't know. It's just
he's not really explaining very well how that could even come to be. I mean, his examples. Oh yeah, we just go and they'll buy USL. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to do that. So, right, the starting premise from which the whole argument stands is already it's a goner. It's done.
So, what here's an idea. If you could say, hey, Garber comes out tomorrow and says, hey, USL, NPSL, all you fucks out there, if you jump on board with us now on the MLS Next Pro League, we'll start implementing promotion relegation within those divisions immediately. But in 15 years, we're going to open the door to the first division. At that point, they'd take no more expansion teams in the league because why would, I guess, if you can find investors to do it, I guess why not? Fuck it. But say in 15 years, we're going to open up, we're going to have a promotion relegation all within MLS.
So
do you think the teams in USL would just bounce?
No, they wouldn't. 15 years once is a very long time, and there'd be a fee. It wouldn't be for free.
Sure, I agree. But then again, USL is not free either. And
they're all joining Next Pro, which is Division 3. So then they would have to get reapproved as Division 2.
I think ultimately, if you can take most, if not all, of USL teams by opening the door to them, I think they'd basically be granted Division 2 at that point.
That still wouldn't make any sense for MLS at all. Because again, now you're cutting off the $800 million siphon.
Sure, I'm not saying it's logical. I'm just saying, trying to get Lawless's point here.
Well, no, you're not. That's not helping because it's still illogical. It's not your fault. I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't even bother playing devil's advocate for Lawless.
One has to. From time to
you can't because it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Let's finish it up.
Want out there, but that is something that I would do. And again, this acquisition, it smothers. I don't know if it puts it out, but it certainly smothers a lot of the acrimony, a lot of, from a practical perspective, some of the potential lawsuits and problems that we have out there, and everybody starts heading again in that right direction. So, again, as always, the biggest problem is going to be how do you convince somebody that bought into the league without the fear of relegation and without the risk of relegation to voluntarily accept that risk. And the way that you do that is to make it worth their while.
How?
And when I say that, I mean money.
How?
So yes, I'm going to accept more risk, but I'm going to have more upside, not just when I'm successful, but by giving to this entity that I'm now involved with by saying, okay, I will forego that risk that I mitigated by years ago when I bought into it, and I will allow you to now add that upon, because I know ultimately I'm going to make more money even with that risk of relegation.
What the fuck is he talking about? He making no sense.
That was about 40 seconds of him saying, we've basically you'd have to figure out a way to convince these people who've paid a lot of money into the league already to do it. And the only way you can do this is by offering them money. Where are you going to get the money from? Fuck if I know.
Yeah, because You're not going to be able to get it from the San Diegos of the world and the Miamis of the world because they'll all be in the league now. Where are you going to get your $800 million every 2 or 3 years? You're not going to get that money anymore. So how are you going to guarantee the old crew owners in MLS, they're going to make more money by taking more risk? What the fuck? That doesn't even make any goddamn... I thought he's this great capitalist. That doesn't even make any sense, what he just said.
So I guess in the end, I wouldn't know how much money that, like from like the Apple arrangement and stuff like that goes into stuff like Gam and Tam and shit like that. Now, if you were to open it up at some point in the future and you were to offer them money, would you say, hey, we're going to open it up? It's going to be, you guys are going to be investing your entire roster. You guys, it's going to be open, an open salary cap at this point, but we're not going to offer you any Game of Tam. Have at it. No. Here's the money from Apple. You're getting this much money. You're guaranteed this much money every year.
No,
as long as you're in Division 1.
Nope, not going to happen. So. And you can even give them as they do in the Premier League when teams get relegated, they get parachute payments, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's only a third of what you would have made, or was it 2/3? I can't remember the number, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going back up. And the parachute payments only last so long, and then you're back to where you started if you can't bump straight back up again. So anyhow, I just wish he wouldn't babble. If you're going to make a real argument or you're going to come out with a plan, then think it through and then talk about it. Don't just get up there and flap your fucking lips, because you end it by saying, hey, you got to make it worth it for everybody to take the risk, but then you don't explain how. What's going to make that? What you just explained doesn't make any fucking sense, one, and you didn't explain how it's going to make it worth it for them to take the risks, because that is the problem. They don't want to take the risks. What you just said, Lawless, didn't fix that. It didn't fix that. So anyhow, that's one of the worst rambling. You could get most people who are on X, who Twitter about soccer on a daily basis, could put together a better outline and plan and argument than he just made right there. And yet he gets paid to talk about this stuff. And that's what's pitiful about it. It's pitiful. That was pitiful. All right, let's move on to other things.
I'm just going to say, it'd be interesting to find out how much money each team get. I mean, I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure we've actually covered it. How much money the Apple contract or TV rights contract goes to each team. And you're talking about a contract that's going to cover over the course of 8 to 10 years or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to say, well, this is how much money each team is going to make from this contract, and where that compares to the amount of investment they've invested into the team.
I just like to see an Excel sheet of each of the MLS teams and see how they're doing financially. All right.
I think there's some Disney funny accounting going on there.
Well, I think there's articles that come out every year after the seasons are over that say, okay, the only 2 teams that made money this year were the LA Galaxy, which won't be true this year, and some other team.
It's usually Seattle and insert random team here. I guess ultimately you can't have decades and decades of teams in the red as far as income is concerned without it going under, which is why I'm saying that I think there's some funny accounting going on to basically state, hey, this club is in the red when it's really not necessarily in the red.
Yeah, there is some funky accounting going on because there's no way they could all be in the red. No. Number one,
the league would go bankrupt, 100%.
Yeah, after a while, it would certainly go bankrupt. Although, there are teams in the EPL that do it all the time. They go into deep debt.
Sure.
Some of them do it to the point where
then they get got.
It's illegal, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, next topic. That one was just annoyed me. Vince, we should have done it last show, but we went on too long. Vincent Caven, most recently with the Swiss men's national team, was just called as an assistant coach to the U.S. men's national team, or is it Kevin? Kevin?
You say potato.
There he is.
So
Who is he?
We have really convinced. I'm assuming he must have been an assistant with the Swiss national team.
Did it not just tell us what his job was above?
No, he was just formerly with, or recently with.
Yeah, I'd like could they say more? Like what his job was? Is he assistant coach there at the Swiss national team?
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to fall in lines with the other assistant coaches in that sense. But do we have the money to really get somebody like that without necessarily looking as a future gig somewhere else in the U.S. pool? You know, maybe he's taking this assistant role and will be the next U17 coach to take over for Cigares. Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know much about him. This is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it for future shows. But, you know, it's not like they came and posted it and said, here are all his accolades, because usually that's what U.S. Soccer would do, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me pull this one up.
He coached the Swiss U18 team to its first quarterfinal in the U17 World Cup. He might be replacing Hudson. Could be. He might not be replacing anybody. Who knows?
Was the U23 coach Mitrovic, or was the U23 coach Mitrovic?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know he got brought up into the fold, especially this upcoming window whenever we're hopefully going to have a more or less a U23 camp for Camp Cupcake.
We should be finding out really soon what Camp Cupcake is going to be made of.
Yeah.
What's in the batter. So BMR 209, we have money for an assistant coach, but not head coaches. I don't even know what we paid this guy. It could be a pittance. It could be a lot. It could be acceptable, not acceptable. I have no clue.
If it was a smaller amount than I would imagine, I would have to assume that he's being offered something along with this. So like, hey, we'll pay you $100,000 or whatever, let's just say, and you'll be the assistant. You'll be one of the assistant coaches under Berhalter, and then 2 years down the road, you'll be the coach for the U16 team or whatever, U15 team. You know,
all right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way this makes sense. It seems strange.
No, it does seem strange because we haven't done our homework yet on this guy. I guarantee you, like the other Swiss guy that came in out of nowhere, he has Berhalter connections somehow. He has some sort of connection to either Crocker or Berhalter or somebody else at U.S. Soccer, because this does not happen by accident. What was the other Swiss guy's name? That didn't last very long.
It was the Chicago guy. My MySpace is his name.
Yeah.
Wiki.
Right. And so he knew Greg from Greg's time in LA when he was out west too. And so they knew each other. So this is all, it's all a big in the family sort of thing. You know, it's a little incestuous. So we'll find out. Let me do some work on it and we'll get back to you on who Vincent Caven is. I'll find out who he's connected to and who he knows.
Yeah. Well, again, it screams that there has to be another something else to pad.
I'll dig in. I'll give Brian a call. We'll find out.
All right. Well, I guess we might as well jump into what everybody was hoping for.
The awards!
The Turdies. Turdies? Turdie?
This is the TSRC Turdie Award Show. Oh, yeah. So here we go with the Turdies for this year. I will make an official song next year for it.
Hell yeah.
We'll just use it every year, right? U.S. Player of the Year.
What we need to start doing is we need to start getting these topics or these options for the awards out earlier so that people can participate.
I can participate right now.
Right now. All 72 of you. I'm actually really impressed that we have 72 people watching right now.
Yep, me too.
Christmas.
Give me a break.
Evening, yeah.
You guys rock. All right.
Oh, no, we're down to 71. We lost one.
Well, let's not do a counter of it. Nominees are Christian Pulisic, Jedi, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Ricardo Pepi, Flo, and Tim Ream. Of course, these are our nominees. The nominees for the actual U.S. Soccer were a little different than this. But I got one for you, Brett.
Is this taking into consideration club and country or just country?
Both.
Okay.
And in that, my nominee would be Jedi. I think he has played the best for club and for country. Even though Pulisic's kicked it up a notch here with AC Milan this season, he's only played half a season there. Whereas Jedi's been doing it for a couple seasons in a row now. And who's played better generally for the U.S. men's national team lately and been there for us throughout the whole year.
So, Jedi definitely has consistency, and I'll agree with you on this too. I mean, the problem is that half of the year Pulisic was riding pine at Chelsea,
right?
And he made the move, and yes, he's had a resurgence, and it's been great to see, and he's done great with the U.S. national team as well. Weston McKennie spent half a season at Leeds.
That was bad.
He's doing great at Juve now.
Yes, he is,
and he's been pretty consistent with the U.S. national team as well.
Right.
Musa has been pretty inconsistent at the club level, and I think pretty consistent with the national team.
Not bad at AC Milan so far, but not good at Valencia, but prior.
Yeah. Pepe had a solid end of the season with Groningen.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, as far as his goals for the season right now, has to be like the best per 90 for the club
it is.
right now.
I think it is in the actual Dutch league. It is. And
when he comes out for the national team, he has a history of scoring goals, even though he comes in the second half, late in the second half or whatever.
Yep.
Flo, no.
Just got here.
Quite frankly, I think quite frankly, we can take into consideration his time at Reims. He's at Reims now?
No, he's not. No, he's at Monaco now.
Okay, so he was at Reims last season.
Reims last season, yes. In fact, he scored on Reims this season. Reims.
We have one that you're missing, Derek. It should have been Soto. Soto should have been included.
Soto has not even made the bench yet for Klagenfurt this season. Oh, wait. Yeah, he made it one time. My bad.
And Timmy's had a solid year with Fulham.
Right.
And he's been great with the U.S. men's national team. Although it's considering that we can't consider what he did at the World Cup because that was the previous year.
Yep.
So, God, it's been a year since the World Cup already. That's insane.
I know it is. It's Jedi. He's been solid for club for a couple years, seasons going. He's been solid for us.
And it's easy to sit there and lump in somebody like Pulisic who scores goals.
Yeah, well, that's
it's easy to do.
Yep. But even Jedi scored goals for us, and that's not even his job.
Yeah, and I mean Weston's game has changed this year, and it's looked great for the national team. His changes of play,
his fitness is
long
great.
Balls, his fitness is great. I mean, the top three would be my three options. Quite frankly, I'd nix the bottom four.
Yeah,
if I had to come up with one, but I think Jedi it has to be my top one.
He didn't even get nominated.
Yeah, no, that was
US Soccer.
We talked about that. Yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah,
who ended up winning? It had been Pulisic, right?
I don't think they've named it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be Pulisic. And it's just too easy. The defenders always get fucking reamed. Excuse me, Tim. In this particular nominee system, so. Yeah. Was expecting a live from Brett and Derek. Rich wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Hey, Regelio, how are you, man? How are you, brother? You haven't been able to join us live for a while, so welcome. So yeah, our pick this year is Jedi.
Concur.
Yep.
Yes, 100%. That's what we're going with, and you can make the argument for any Weston or Pulisic. Quite frankly, I think Weston and Pulisic's overall year has been very similar to each other.
Yes.
Now, of course, Pulisic's in a role where he should be scoring more goals, 100%. But I think they have about the same year, quite frankly. So, but Jedi has been consistent across the board, and we always talk about like, man, if Jedi goes down,
we're screwed.
That left back role, man. Oof.
Unless
I'm feeling a little more confident with with Des playing out left, and I'm feeling a little more confident with Lund a bit. But it's a drop off, to say the least.
It is a drop off. That's why you go out and talk to a guy named Jeremy Toljan. That's why you go out and talk to him. Just go talk to him. Give him a call, Greg. See if he's interested. Because everything I learned about Jeremy Toljan when he was teammates with Weah in the Scottish Premiership when they were teammates together, that they actually talked about that. And Toljan had talked about how he had visited his father's parents in the States and that he was open and willing to playing for us. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Brian Schroeder told us he qualifies. Nah, Des would start left back. I don't want to play Des at left back.
Scally
Even though
would be fun at right back is what he says too.
that's fine. But you know what? I'd rather have a backup like Toljan, who's been playing in Serie A for 3 seasons straight as a starter. You know?
Yeah, and we'd be fine if it was one window. We had to play Scally up right.
That'd be fine.
And play Dest left. It'd be fine. You're right. 100%.
Yep.
It'd be okay. The problem with that is that we are stretching ourselves thin at that point because who's backing up right back? Who's backing up left back? We got Lund at left back, sure. But who's gonna be our next right back?
So if you had a choice between bringing Lund and who plays in Serie B and having Toljan who plays at Serie A, why would you pick Lund? Why?
He's looked good for us so far. That's all I'm going to give him.
I'm not shitting on his parade or anything. I'm just saying I'm taking a guy who's been playing in Serie A for 3 seasons, is a starter for a Serie A team, and plays left back. Why not? Instead of Lund. We don't know.
Derek, how do you spell Toljan? It's
Toljan.
That's simple?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Oh, never mind. BMR beat me to it, I guess. Because Jonathan asked for it, so I can look him up.
Oh, Jeremy
and
Toljan.
Kaiju hasn't. Yeah, Kaiju hasn't back up as well. He's playing at Sassuolo.
Sassuolo. Now, I said that earlier in the show, so if you've missed it, I already talked about this, so I don't want to get back on the Jeremy Toljan.
He's at 6 assists so far this season.
Yes, he's having a good year.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even in last. They're like safely like in mid-table this season. So anyhow, it's something to consider. But since we've stopped talking about it for so long, and now we've moved on to Lund as the backup for Jedi, is that really the solution? I don't know. And, Toljan's hitting his prime of his career right now. This is the best he's played. So why not give him a phone call? It's an idea. Yeah. Instead of Lund, give Jeremy a call.
What's worse? I mean, maybe they have reached out to him and we just don't know. But what's the worst that could happen? You say, hey, we're really excited watching you play. We'd like you to represent the U.S. here. Would like to give you a call this window. And if he says no, he says no.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first guy to say no. And he's not going to say no. Because guess why? He's never going to play for the goddamn German national team.
Yeah.
Ever. All right, let's move on to the next award.
Somebody also mentioned he has citizenship or he's able to play for Croatia or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Somebody mentioned it. I just didn't pull it up. All right, next one. Award number 2.
It could be with a name like Toljan. World Player of the Year. This one's going to be really quick and easy. It's Holland.
Yeah, not USA based, but sure. Let's talk about it.
The reason I put this up here is because there's some sort of all right, who's going to win the Ballon d'Or? And a lot of people seem to think Messi's going to win it because he won the World Cup. I get that. But as far as the best player in the world in 2023, it had to be Holland. He had the biggest effect. He scored a ridiculous amount of goals. Does that not count for anything? Messi moved to fucking Miami at the end of the year,
where he only played in U.S. Open Cup and Leagues Cup.
Did he play well when he played? He sure did.
But I feel like Holland would be leading goal scorer in a half a season or less in MLS also. But
I love Messi, but I think it's time to move on. And I think Holland earned it. I don't know if we'll ever see a season like that again. I mean, Holland can't.
Season.
Yeah, Holland can't do it again. He can't replicate what he did last season. So, I mean, the guy should be rewarded for what he's done. And, they did win Champions League. That should count for something as well. They won the league. That should count for something. Anyhow, I'm going with Holland. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think this is much of a debate.
Okay, moving on then.
I mean, I guess who would, outside of Messi, at that point, who would compete against Holland? So.
No one. I can't think of anybody who's earned it. All right, the best US MLS player of the year. This is one I'm sure all of you guys are just like dying to find out about.
This is the award that I wanted to hear about.
Yeah. You know, the sad thing going through the stats, Brett, trying to find these nominees. And, you know, we watched our fair share of MLS this season. And going through the stats, you really had to scroll down a long ways to start finding Americans. Unless you count Luchi Acosta. If you count Luchi Acosta as an American, which he is not, as far as I understand it, an official U.S. citizen yet, and not able to play for the U.S. men's national team, he would have won this award walking away because his stats for the season are fucking phenomenal. If you don't want to go by stats, you got to go all the way to, okay, well, who are the best players, American players, on the team that won the MLS Cup? And that was Aiden Morris and Darlington Nagbe, right? Yeah, who's Brian White? Well, if you've been watching this show a lot, when we do on my occasional MLS report of what Yanks are doing in MLS, Brian White's been coming up quite a bit this year. I've been saying
15 goals at least, yeah.
Brian White scored another goal this weekend. Nope, Brian White scored another goal this weekend. He had the best stats of any American player in Major League Soccer, yet nobody knows who he is because he plays for Vancouver. No one cares about Vancouver. Like, sometimes I even forget that Vancouver is in Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is a really stinkish list, and I'm sorry, but this is as good as we get from American players this season in Major League Soccer as far as really making a difference for their teams. So applaud to Brian White for doing that. Jesus Ferreira, 12 goals. He's not getting it for me because he got out.
He really ended it with 12 goals, but he started off so strong in the season.
Yeah, faded out. But as far as overall goal contributions, Brian White was the best American player in Major League Soccer. And unless you're going to tell me that Aiden Morris somehow outplayed Brian White this season, or, I mean, they're not the same, don't play the same position, so they're not really comparable. And did you watch the MLS final, Brett?
No.
I did. I think Darlington Nagbe is as close as I can get to picking someone else, honestly. I think what Darlington Nagbe does for Columbus makes them who they are. Like, he's that solid guy that nobody can take the ball away from. And he dominates the midfield in much the same way he's been doing for the last 8 years of his career, frankly. But I'm going to go with Brian White, because what that does is reveal how few Americans are actually contributing to goal scoring in the league, and that the best one at it is a guy that nobody knows named Brian White. It's a sad fact, folks. That's a sad fact. You have to scroll down a long ways to find the first American goal contributor in the top scorers for MLS this season. The stats. So, last year we had guys there, right? We had Vasquez was near the top of the table. Well, he had a bad year.
Yep. And
what did we say after his
for a very successful Cincy team too?
Yeah, and what did we say after he had such a great season the year before? We said,
duplicate.
Don't get all hot and bothered. Let's see if he can do it again. Did he do it again? No, he did not. Ferreira did not have.
He's not going to be at Cincy long anyway, so we'll see what he can do at a quality.
I mean, had he done it again, he'd definitely be going to a decent team somewhere in Europe. Not a top 5 league, but go ahead.
A bunch of people bringing up Miazga.
Yeah, but Miazga fucked his own team.
I was about to say it too. It's like
during the playoffs.
His boneheaded play, they got him shit canned for like 3 matches.
Yep.
During the playoffs, man.
You can't be that irresponsible in the playoffs with your own team. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you can name me another center back, because they're one thing we do have plenty of in MLS, and that's American center backs. There's lots of them to pick from.
That quality, though.
That's exactly the point. Not quality.
qualities. The problem there is that we're looking at this kind of from a U.S. men's national team standpoint, not necessarily just from an MLS standpoint, because we're looking at it going like, well, who would we call into the U.S. squad? Well, we had an entire cycle of Zimmerman and Long and Miles, and we're sitting there like, well, I don't see any of them really being up there.
No.
So how can we list them as MLS Player of the Year if we don't see them as quality for potential MLS call-ups? Mind you, I'm not saying that everybody on this list would be a quality MLS or MLS call-up to the national team.
None of them will make the national team, or should. None of them qualify to make the U.S. men's national. None of these guys are good enough to play for the U.S. men's national team.
I mean, we talk about Brian White here scoring goals, and again, nobody knows who he is. But Sargent last season with Norwich in championship scored, I think, like 12 or 13 goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's safe to assume that most people would say, like, well, I feel like on par, I think championship's probably going to be a tougher league overall.
Yes.
So
would Brian White go to the championship and score 13 goals? No, he wouldn't.
Because it really depends on the team and how many minutes he gets. But yeah, it's tough to say. But I think, looking at somebody and saying like, well, Sargent had just as many goals, and Sargent's struck me even when healthy. I mean, he played in the World Cup, of course, and then he got injured. That sucks. But it would be a big contention at this point. Like, well, Berhalter has to bring in 2 strikers. Who's he going to bring in? Well, he's going to bring in Flo, of course. And then it's going to be Pepe or Sargent. I mean, somebody like White and Frere are way back.
If we're bringing only 2 strikers, which is likely, what you do, and this is what we said, you get rid of fucking Brendan Aronson as one of your wingers, and you bring Sargent in once he's healthy and playing again as your optional winger / optional forward in case one of the other 2 guys gets injured. That's what you do.
Or a potential formation change where we actually do play 2 strikers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Always an option to come off the bench, Sargent, at this point, for either Flo or Pepe, although he's a more like-for-like replacement for Pepe. He's just as good with his feet and making runs in many ways than Balogun is, not just as good. I mean, I don't know. It's to be seen. We'll see what happens when he gets back from injury and how quickly he recoups.
I guess the one downfall for Brian White is that he's 27, hasn't really had a sniff at the national team level.
No. We shouldn't even have this discussion. None of these guys will ever play except for maybe Jesus Ferreira because he sucks so much goddamn Greg cock that he somehow gets called up on occasion. None of these guys will ever play for the U.S. men's national team. Darlington Nagbe doesn't want to play. Aiden Morris should have taken the Canadian call-up.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't even a discussion. Brian White will never play for the U.S. men's national team.
He played in the Gold Cup. Never mind. I was going to say, is Aiden Morris still even like? Is he cap tied to us? But yeah, he played in Gold Cup, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a choice though at some point.
Yeah. Before that occurred, I agree, 100%. I was trying to mull over whether or not he still has that option, but I think he played a Gold Cup. So,
well, one of the reasons that he didn't want to go play for Canada is he doesn't know their national anthem at all. He doesn't know the words, so he could learn them.
Oh, Canada! You just have to know the tone and move your mouth. Yeah.
And just look pompous while you're doing it. All right. Best mainstream soccer show of the year. In Soccer We Trust, which no longer exists. That was with Jimmy and Davies and whose name am I forgetting? Brett, you're not helping. Pierce. Thank you. God.
That's sad. That was the talking point of the new one. Remember?
Yeah, Heath got left out.
I'd like to still be a part of this, but
guess not. Yep. Kicking It, and not with Drew. Unfortunately, Drew's show is still here and there. But the new Kicking It, they stole the name of Drew's show for the new CBS sort of interview format, right? Which has been fun to watch, right? Mm-hmm. Football Americas is always one of our favorites because we love Seb and we love Herc. And and ESPN FC, which a lot of people don't like because they don't like Craig Burley. I happen to love Surly Burley. I love him. I love his attitude. I love his grouchiness. I think it's perfect. Like, I think we'd be peas in a pod. Like, I could sit down and have a beer with Craig Burley, although he probably wouldn't want to have a beer with me.
What about throwing one in here, and I don't know what the Paramount crew or whatever that does, or is it Peacock? Or
Peacock.
One with Henri.
Yeah, that's not really a soccer show. They're just covering the games, right? They don't have a show.
Okay.
Like, they're just there to introduce.
I see what you're saying.
They do halftime. They do post game.
All right, cool. I'm
Not
with
really.
you. Same page
Yeah.
now.
So I'm really torn here.
What? No State of the Union?
No, definitely not.
We certainly covered enough. It could have won.
Can I just say this? I love me some Mossy. I think Mossy is fantastic. And I think without Mossy, that show would fly off the fucking wheel. It'd be absolute batshit if Lawless had to do that show by himself, because he would just talk about batshit stuff the whole time. Mossy's the only thing holding down any semblance of reasonability on that show.
Well, I feel like you have to offset the off the wall craziness that's Lawless, and again, I've always said it from the get go. I know we bag on him quite a bit here and there, but I've always said that I enjoy Lawless's commentary in the sense that he says what's first thing on his mind about a topic, and he sticks to his guns, unless it's about a coaching.
There is
cycle.
nothing worse than that. He doesn't think at all prior to the words coming out of his mouth, and then he sometimes sticks to it, because he certainly didn't stick to his principled take that no manager should be the manager of the U.S. men's national team but for one cycle. He gave up that principled point.
Yeah.
To basically, because he was mad at the Reinas. So stupid, so dumb.
But I mean, that was that's my point though. It's that it's not the best quality, because a lot of what he says is off the wall batshit, but it's entertaining. And if you can take it for that sense, there's a lot of conversations that get started based off of what he says. Again, might not necessarily be the proper thing, and that's where we get a lot of our content. We talk about a lot of the batshit crazy stuff he says. I wouldn't have put him on the list because it's not going to be the best mainstream.
No, it's near the worst. Honestly, without Mossy, it's near the worst. Mossy is the glue of that show. And I frankly wish he would talk more, because too much of that show is him lobbing the questions, and then Lawless goes batshit and talks about it for fucking 3 hours straight. Babbles mostly. All right. Somebody else mentioned Golazo.
Golazo.
I do watch that on occasion. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I've been watching it more lately. I don't think it's a bad show. I think it's a pretty good show. I just don't think the characters on that show really intrigue me much. They have Davies on there.
Okay, I was gonna say who's all on this. I forgot.
Davies is on there. He's intriguing, but let's be honest about Davies. As much as we love him, he's kind of batty sometimes too. Like, he'll have an opinion one day and won't have it the next. So it's kind of weird. But that's also what makes him fun to watch, because you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. I will say this. It's a lot less bombastic and arrogant than what comes out of Lawless's mouth. Let's put it that way. As far as a show I'd never miss, I don't ever miss Football Americas and ESPN FC. I do miss Kicking It on occasion. Why? Because occasionally I don't care about the guest.
Yeah. That's a big factor, isn't it?
It is. I did manage to get through our the Rongren one on Kicking It, because it wasn't a different, interesting. It was another side of Rongren I hadn't really seen. And some of the things he said, I was like, okay, this guy isn't all a big sack of shit. So
Kicking It is the new Dempsey, Adu, and Davies, and what's her face? Is her name? What's her name?
Abo. ABO. What is her first name? Fuck.
Somebody's gonna have in the chat in just a second. But it's where they do it's an open set, and they sit down on chairs. It's Kate
Agbo, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Abdo.
They sit down. They have interviews with, and predominantly all U.S. based. As far as I know, right now they haven't had a non-USA based one, right?
Yeah, it's been good. I really enjoyed the one with Landon, even though he contradicted himself. Yeah, it's just a fun show to watch because they really kind of get it. You get an inside story of how they all, what the chemistry was like between Dempsey and Donovan during when they were on the same team. It was a good watch, but again, that show's mostly about who the guests are, and if the guests aren't entertaining, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to eliminate them, and I'm going with Football Americas. I watch it.
That's one that I go with here. Yeah.
And I'm going with it because Herc is so blatantly, well, Seb is too. They don't pull any punches at all. They're kind of, I don't want to say they're not part of the family of podcasts that we live with. Obviously, you guys know our relationship with Pete and Tact, and we're pretty close and we stay in contact. And, we do a lot of co-shows together, but let's just say that Herc's been pretty friendly with, if you want to call our confederation of podcasts. And I like that about him. He not afraid to talk to the independent guys as well. I'd like to have Seb on, frankly. That would be fun. I mean, I know what's going to come out of Herc's mouth, but Seb's a lot of fun to listen to. So I'm going with Football Americas. Who do you got?
Yep, no, absolutely.
Okay.
I liked the In Soccer We Trust group for a while there, but it broke up. Hard to give them the award at this point.
Yeah, it is, because the show broke up a few months ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the winner of this year's Best Mainstream Soccer Show of the Year is Football Americas, who also happen to be on the exact time that we are on Mondays and Thursdays.
What a bunch of a-holes.
All right, worst mainstream commentator of the year. The nominees are Alexi Lawless for all the obvious reasons, mostly for his horrible coverage of the Gold Cup and not explaining what team was playing until it was all over. Then he finally said, okay, maybe this is a B team or a C team or whatever. But no.
Whatever you want to call it.
He was all part of the scam coverage that they had and their lionizing of Ferreira in the pregame shows. I mean, it was just that led to, unfortunately for me, a clipped moment that went viral on the X. Matt Doyle, I don't listen to. I don't read anymore. I don't follow him on X. I don't read his articles. He could be the worst. Stu Holden is a major shill for U.S. soccer. There is no doubt about it. He is one of the biggest shills out there. He's a bigger shill, actually, for American soccer than even Alexi Lawless is. So, for that reason, I would add him to this list, and I'm taking Alexi off. As much as he is aggravating to me, I don't think he's the worst commentator because he says a lot of good stuff too. That's correct.
Which person you said? Hold on.
Lawless says some things that are on the mark.
Okay.
And I give him credit when he does. I said, you had it right. Right?
It happens.
So for that reason, I'm going to take Alexi off. I think Landon Donovan did a horrible job this year as a commentator.
So he's not very good at that job, quite frankly.
No.
He doesn't have the personality to really run it. When it's like if I had to listen to Donovan or Lawless as far as commentary is concerned, I would absolutely pick Lawless over Donovan. Just because even if the shit's batshit crazy, he's still entertaining to listen to.
Yes.
Like just listening to his fluctuations, he talks about purpose, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Donovan, has one frame, one range of vocal cords, and he just talks about it the entire time. And that's that. It's just
that's not the main problem with Donovan this year. The reason the reason he's winning it this year in particular is for two major reasons. One, hey, Pulisic should go play in MLS, which was one of the worst. That's one of the worst ideas.
Like a 40-minute segment just on that. Yeah.
Horrible commentary, horrible idea, horrible projection of yourself onto another player, number one. And then the whole thing about foreign players.
Yep.
German Americans, hyphenated Americans we don't need to go after hyphenated Americans. Somebody's like, well, he clarified that. Did he really? Go watch the show where he is on with Dempsey and Kate and Davies and Adu.
His recap of it, basically his way of explaining it was, there were definitely some players that were fine, and he did allude to kind of like a Jermaine Jones type of thing.
Jermaine Jones was cool, but the rest of them were awful.
Yeah, he's just like, I feel like if you go back through history and rewatch it, you'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you say that there weren't bad players, not bad players, but bad mentalities of American players who've been born and raised in America too?
Yeah, there were. And I don't really care where you're from, is what he should have said, instead of in particular pointing out, and we all know who he's talking about, Timmy Chandler. We all know he's talking about. It's not a secret who he's talking about, Fabian Johnson. All right. And he basically was telling Klinsmann, hey, I care more about this team than those guys do. Well, that's fine. I'm glad you care more about it.
It's also an opinion.
But that's also subjective.
Yeah.
That's not something you can really know objectively. What are we going to have a little meter we poke into your arm and it goes up, you're only 70%
do you
caring.
Care about the United States men's national team more than Donovan? Fabian goes, yes. Looks over.
No,
he's telling a lie. He's telling a lie.
It's like a breathalyzer, right? You blow into it and it tells you how your give a shit percentage. And Fabian only blew a 70. I blew a 95, motherfucker. I 95% care. Well, and Timmy Chandler only blew a 30. He really doesn't give a fuck.
Well, and his reasons for it is like, well, they're going to play for the U.S. men's national team, and you're never going to hear from them again. How many other former U.S. men's national teams have we never heard from again?
I mean, if you were to go by that, we didn't hear from Steve Cherundolo until the last, 4 years? He lived in Germany after he retired.
Yeah.
Does that make him un-American?
Well, I mean, hell,
what if he never moved here?
Donovan was an owner coach for a USL team. What exactly is he doing?
Yeah,
is he really moving the needle forward, if you will?
Yeah, staying here and moving here and living here doesn't matter. Cherundolo stayed in Europe after he retired from Hanover, where, by the way, that's where his whole long pro career was. He was married to a German. He has German-American kids, all right? And he had a job. And he just recently came over, recent being about 4 or 5 years ago, because he was offered an opportunity by the Las Vegas Lights. That's why he moved here. His give a shit matter, whether he lived here or not. That doesn't mean anything. And I know but the other contradiction is here. Oh yeah, Jermaine, he's cool. He's cool. Well, okay, if Jermaine is an example of a hyphenated American who can be cool, that means there are other ones out there in the future that could be future Jermaine Jones and care just as much. I think Yunus Musa can be put on that level already. I think he's proven that he gives a shit. We'll wait and see with Balogun, but you can't just X them all out. And by the way, Donovan's remarks about hyphenated Americans came right at the time we were recruiting Balogun. Is that coincidence? No, it wasn't. No, because that was the topic of the show. Everybody was excited.
Should we be actively recruiting players is the topic. Yeah.
Right. And it was right when we recruited Balogun, and he basically said no. Well, how do you know that Balogun's not going to turn into another heart and soul Jermaine Jones character?
You're also basing off of what you're projecting onto him. even from just past experiences. Okay, maybe you're in the locker room with a couple guys. Maybe you saw it, and maybe you're like, it was clear and obvious that these guys just using it, blah blah. But you're using it and you're projecting that on future players who are doing that.
Yeah.
Because how do you know? Even though Flo may have been expressing interest that he wants to play for England or whatever, obviously that was there, and then he made the decision to switch. We talked about that quite a bit. But how do you know what his feelings towards America is?
How do you know that even if his feelings at the beginning were ambiguous, that he won't turn into one of the best heart and soul players for this team going in the future? You don't know that. And you, Landon Donovan, are not allowed to project your Timmy Chandler feelings onto Balogun.
Hey, you know what?
They're individuals.
You know what? Flo posted a Merry or Happy Thanksgiving video. Where was Donovan's Happy Thanksgiving video?
Well, you know him. He doesn't do that kind of stuff.
I'm joking. That's my point.
I know, but he's an introvert. And by the way, I'm not going to worry about Landon Donovan never wanting coming on this show by giving him this award. It's like I'm not worried about Alexi Lawless not coming on the show. Neither of them would ever do it in the first place. And really, we don't have a whole lot of guests because we don't kind of like having some guests sometimes.
It's a different experience, quite frankly.
I mean, we don't get to do our real show if we have our guest on. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, there are guys we could do that with. Pete knows what our show is going to be, so he's comfortable with it. Tact, yeah, even same way.
Even then, with Pete's first show with us was probably a little more lax than what it would be now.
Oh, well, yeah.
So,
and now we go on his show and it's completely relaxed. But, for Sam, we would have Sam on. And we had a blast with Sam, right? Because we knew Sam knew us. So it was great. But we bring a player on, that changes the whole mood of the show, right?
Yeah.
What was that comment?
Oh, it was BMR. We don't have a lot of people on the show. And he goes, because nobody likes you?
No, we could have more. We could have more on. Trust. We
can have more on? Wait, what?
Yeah, we could have a moron like Lawless on. But when we first started this again, we did have lots of guests. Like we started out, we had Jimmy Conrad on, we had Brian Schroeder on. So we had Brian Schroeder, Jimmy Conrad. There are a bunch of guys when we first started this a couple of years ago. And we had Meg on. That was fantastic. I would have Meg on again. I really would, because she knows us really well. She understands our sense of humor. We had a lot of fun. I think we did 3 hours with Meg.
No, we weren't quite to that point. It was like 2 hours and like 30 minutes.
It was a long show for us at the time.
At that point, we were saying like, oh my God, that was a long time. It didn't feel like a long time. But now we're doing like 3 hours. And
now we do it all the time.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes right now. And this was a nothing burger show thrown together today.
Right. So Landon and Donovan gets the award for me this year as worst commentator of the year.
I have to agree.
Okay.
I mean, the easy one would be to pick Lawless. And that's just because we have a lot of biases towards it.
No.
Not we as a group, everybody else. But no, Donovan's time as a pundit has been horrific this year.
And okay, let's say you have takes, right? So Donovan had 2 takes this year, 2 big takes. They were both off the mark, completely horrifically wrong. And he's not even asked to have that many takes because he's only on from time to time, right? So he had 2 takes this year. They were both wrong. He batted 0%. At least Lawless bats about 50%, right?
Yeah, but
he bats about 500.
If you have to take Lawless's top 2 this year versus,
but that's Donovan's. The thing. He gets paid to have takes though, so he's got tons of them. Whereas Landon was paid to have a couple takes.
Don't forget though, Lawless was the reason you went viral.
Yes, and that's not a good thing. I mean, kind of is, but now
it was pretty good for our show, I think.
Yeah, but now everybody thinks I'm a raving lunatic.
Well, then they watch the show and they realize it's true.
All right, what do we got next?
Last but not least,
top 10 things.
Be a long one too.
No, let's keep it short.
Try to.
Top 10 things that happened in U.S. soccer in 2023. Yes, the Reina quote blackmail. Yeah, that was at the beginning of the year. That pissed me off.
It still is fascinating that people still say blackmail today. To the date, they say well, the Reyna's blackmailed Berhalter. And I'm like, no, they didn't. Shut the fuck up.
And you know who still owes an apology to everyone for that? Jeff Carlisle still owes the Reyna's an apology because that was a completely misinterpretation of what happened. And he immediately then he edited it and didn't add any remarks at the end of the same article, which he edited 1,000,000 times, but never explained why.
And not only that, we've talked about this because it's been almost a year since this came out, but editing an article that 99.9% of your viewership has already read.
Yeah.
And the only people who are going to go back and read that are people who don't know what you're talking about. Like you happen to catch another. Wait, the Reyna's blackmailed Berhalter? When did this happen? Click. Oh, it wasn't really blackmailing. Okay. But the 99.9% of the people that read that article are not going back to read the corrections.
And then the worst thing is the 38 morons who read his article then wrote their own article for their own website, citing his article and using blackmail in their article as well. Mm-hmm. Now there's not just one moron article out there calling it blackmail. Now we got 30 articles online about blackmail.
Yeah.
And no public apology. Not even when Jeff Carlisle came on Herc and Seb's show, which I don't even think they really enjoy that much, frankly, having him on the show. But when because they all work for ESPN, when they had him on the show, he could have at least said something about it, but he didn't. And that's being a bad reporter, and that's not holding yourself accountable. I know if I wrote an article back in the day and I totally misquoted somebody, I would step up and put some notation, at least at the beginning or the end or somewhere in the story, that I fucked that fucking quote up, and this is actually what the person said.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if Derek put these in numerical order or if he said, say, here are 10 things that happened this year type thing.
Yeah, these are just 10 things that happened this year, but this is actually almost in timeline order because the Reyna's was at the beginning of the season, right?
Real quick, before we jump on to 9, move down, wanted to throw up a couple of honorable mentions that people are mentioning. There's the Leeds debacle.
That's on there. March gets sacked.
I didn't even see that. Nobody said Leeds on there. The 29 attack beef.
I don't think there's much beef in that sandwich.
It seems that they may have been trying to mend some fences. It seems like,
yeah.
I've seen Diego, liking and retweeting some of Attack stuff, and I saw Attack and him actually converse a bit on a thread.
Yeah. So, well, we told you here that was going to blow over, Joey.
Yeah,
and we said that at the time that it happened, it would blow over. All right, Crocker interview requirements. I'm not going to go on another rant about this, but fuck you, Betty Crocker, and Sportsology can suck my cock too. Any interview that requires you to take a slate of mental tests, which, by the way, we already said, there are a couple coaches that were asked to take these tests, said, fuck you. I'm not sitting down and taking 4 hours worth of your stupid mental tests. Here's my resume. Do a normal interview with me about my vision for the team, and then I'm out of here.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Yeah, exactly. And the amazing thing that these incredible slate of mental tests got us right back to where we were before Greg Berhalter. So fuck your interviews, Betty Crocker and Sportsology. You can suck my dick.
The problem is they couldn't find anybody equal to Greg willing to take less money.
Well, you know what it really was. Laziness. Yeah. Greg rehire. So that kind of falls right in line because that's what happened after the Crocker interview, the Crocker shit interview process that they did there.
I love the announcement during the halftime show of the was it the Mexico game?
Yes. Hey, let's
Nations League semifinals and finals. Let's announce it now, guys.
After we watched BJ had such great success playing in a totally more creative way, than Greg ever let his team play. Now we're going to announce Greg's coming back. Like, that's exciting.
But don't worry, Derek. He's not going to start until after the Gold Cup. Because we can't have a series of bad results during a Gold Cup with a C/D squad hinder and defoul our new hire.
And then we got Marsh get sacked. That was a big deal at the time because, all of us were very hopeful that Jesse Marsh could somehow find stability there at Leeds and Leeds from the bottom of the table. And actually, they went and had a bunch more coaches, and they just ended up getting relegated anyhow. So
I had this back and forth with Simon. We've been communicating back and forth.
Simon Allen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's not the biggest Marsh fan. I don't know if he was a Leeds fan or if he just saw the arrogance or whatever, and he's just like, fuck that. But he mentioned, he's like, then Marsh brought all the Americans to the team. I'm like, well, hold on. He didn't bring in Brendan Aronson because Brendan Aronson was already being scouted the season before.
Yep.
And then, of course, they brought him in. But they also, he brought in Tyler Adams, 100% his. Which I think was good for the team. Obviously, the team looked like shit without him.
Yep.
And then, he did bring in Weston, but then he got shit canned one game after bringing him in.
Yeah, so he'd even get to use Weston.
Hard to use any of the Americans against him in the sense. Actually, quite frankly, the Americans that he brought in, I guess minus McKinney, but he didn't get to coach McKinney, actually did the club good.
And can I ask, did the team get better after Marsh left? No.
Mm-mm.
Got worse. Hudson and BJ Callahan. Big news because what they did with the team was transformational. And maybe it was only a few steps forward, but we hadn't seen any steps forward under Greg. So when we saw all of a sudden these massive steps being taken forward, it really was eye-catching.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is Simon Allen? Simon Allen used to be the Dalai Lama of soccer podcasts back in the mid 2000s, 2010. I don't know if he still does his show or not, but
it pops up periodically. It's not a consistent thing. He does a lot right now. He does a lot of play-by-play for some of the lower divisions. He lives, I think, over in one of the teams over in California or something.
Yeah, he does play-by-play for some lower league.
But he's an old friend of the show.
Yeah,
we had him back on in the early days, and he's the first person on the show actually when we restarted the show.
Was he?
So feel free. Yeah, we did.
We
did a 4. This is back before we started doing stuff with cameras, guys. I had this flashback when I was trying to find a certain thing about the USL, and I forgot that there were still some shows where we did the old-fashioned way, where we just recorded our voices, and then Derek went in there meticulously threw in memes and slides and shit.
I must have been insane.
I don't know how you did that.
I don't either.
Take for fucking ever. But no, Simon was one of our first guests back on, and we did it. God, we did a fucking 4-hour show.
It was 4 hours.
Broke up to like eight different segments.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a top 10 or whatever American coaches or something like that, or whatever it was.
And then after that, we had the old writer from Big Soccer on.
Archer. Bill
Archer. Yeah. So if you're interested in Bill Archer, like if you go back, you're from the Big Soccer era and you used to love Bill Archer's articles in Big Soccer, go look up the Straight Red Card and Bill Archer. You should be able to find that video we did with them. Same old grouchy Bill Archer, as always. All right. Fox's sham Gold Cup coverage. We've already talked about that. That led to the viral rant. And I'm not going to go over it again. U.S. soccer denies MLS. That's more recent. It was good news that not allowing MLS to leave the U.S. Open Cup. Pulisic at AC Milan. I put it on here because it's a good thing. And it was a good move by him. And so far, it's really worked out great for him and his career. And I think you got other people's Merry Christmas, boys. Fuck Greg. You had a lot of people saying that he wouldn't be able to make it there. Kufa Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. and then we'll take it higher. All right. Juve, the Juve boys, Weah going to join McKennie at Juve. And a lot of people said that McKennie wouldn't play that much this year because Juve didn't want him back. Well, that turned out to be a complete lie, because not only is he back, he's probably been one of the most consistent players on Juventus all season long.
Yeah, and I could see Juve trying to extend his contract again.
I do too. Yeah, I don't know what they do without him, because without him, I haven't seen them without him, but I can't imagine they don't have. I know they got some guys back from injury recently, but that hasn't changed the fact that McKennie's still an every game starter.
And for the past handful of games have been one of their top players. And I think this last match was actually listed as their man of the match. Not necessarily Juve's coming out and saying man of the match, but a bunch of the pundits around.
Oh, notice how the stupid Juve fans shut the fuck up about McKennie this season? Finally shut their stupid mouths. All right.
I haven't heard much from Leeds fans recently about it.
No, they don't want to admit that their team was bad.
No, that's not to say McKennie was great or anything, or even good for that matter for Leeds.
Well, they expected McKennie to be the star of the team. He's never been the star of any team. You are asking him to be the focal point of that team. That's asking way too much of a guy who never had played in a double pivot up until that time. Mm-hmm. Now he's played it enough. Now he probably would know what he was doing, but he got thrown into that. And by the way, the guys around him sucked. So it's kind of hard to play with a bunch of dumbbells. Once they moved Cock up. They moved Cock up into the midfield. Yeah, they did. That freed McKennie up a bit. And the problem was at that point, because those games when he got moved up and had a little more freedom, he looked a lot better. Yeah. But what happened is the opinion by Leeds fans for McKennie already outweighed it. It didn't matter at that point. He was fat. He's not a good player. Blah blah blah, etc. etc. It doesn't matter how well he played those final couple matches. Right. It didn't to them. When my cock's up, I feel free too. All right, the PSV boys. Woo! That has been a revelation. That has been so fun to watch. I hope PSV crushes Dortmund. I hope they destroy fucking Turdie. Not so much because I don't like Dortmund, because I fucking hate Turdie. I want them to crush Dortmund. And I hope it happens. But it's been fun to watch PSV this season. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see as the season goes along. We're going to see Pepe get a few more starts. I know he only has one so far, but I think we'll see more because De Jong's got to get a little tired at some point going into the second half. Between Champions League, the regular season, all the cup games. I mean, it's got to wear down. Beaker, yeah. I mean, they got to be. And then I just have these little points on the side here. Being invited by U.S. Soccer to Austin, as we were, that was a highlight for us. Not by U.S. Soccer, but. Well, I don't know if you've seen the new interview. So they had Brett on the other Brett Oppenheim. They had him on Max Bretto's show. I watched that interview. And essentially, he is working for U.S. Soccer as an ambassador. So, yes, him inviting us to Austin was us being invited by U.S. Soccer. I wish we could have gone, but we didn't. Going viral. I guess here's the bigger question. That since was it a list provided by U.S. Soccer, or is Brett just a fan of the show that said, "Hey, U.S. Soccer wants to include some of these independent people as long as they don't tread, as long as they tread softly." You think U.S. Soccer's like, "Hey, those straight red card fellows, we got to get them included here. Bring them, get them involved." Well, let's just say this: it did lead to a talking to Tact and Pete, right? So if Tact and Pete got a talking to, they would hate us there. Oh no, we would have been pulled aside for sure and been told, "Just give me my woman's jersey and leave me alone." I mean, Michael Cameron might have bum rushed me and just punched me right in the mouth. I wouldn't be too surprised. That would have been great for content, though. It would have. That'd have been fat. I was punched by the turd. Google viral X. So on the X, the rant, that has to be a highlight of the season. Not necessarily a good one, but
I feel like that's how the
something-
punch would happen, right? Be run up and like that.
Yeah, I can take a punch, so you better hit hard. Your stepsister. Those were other highlights of this 2023. My guess is your stepsister will be a highlight for 2024 too.
Yeah, probably.
As long as you guys keep that relationship afloat. All right, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. 2 hours and 40 minutes of
Did not
Christmas
expect that.
soccer show. I didn't expect to go 2 hours and 40 minutes at all.
Nope.
But
I was telling Derek before the show, I was like, man, this is be a quick, short show. We're just going to do a report.
yeah. All right. Well, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like. If you're watching, you got to like because there's not a lot of you watching. It's not as many as normal. So make sure you hit the like button before you leave. I'm sure most of you guys are already subscribed, but if you haven't, do that too. Hey, make sure you have a great rest of the night. Enjoy the holiday season, and make sure to cuddle up with your stepsister, in front of the fire, and let her play with your jingle bells. And until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll see you soon.
She's a trap, she's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without one.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch. That's all.